swinging. Derek Holland. Swinging. Derek Holland. Swinging. Derek Holland. Swinging. Derek Holland. swinging. Derek Collins.
Oh, why does it always do the wrong fucking screen?
I'm live on my side. Hey, look at my Twitter. That's just the camera. That's too close. There we go.
Bam. Okay.
And I need to switch some things over.
Hi guys.
Switch it.
Idiot.
Idiot. Idiot. Idiot. Idiot.
I am. There we go. There we go. I was so prepared for this, by the way.
Weren't we all?
Hey, you know what? Let's get Craig in here. Then we can get started. Actually, a good thing we didn't go last week because Craig apparently took a 2-day vacation.
Craigcation.
Yeah.
Now recording.
That's a new sound. That's a new sound.
It sounded normal to me.
No, the boop 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 was different.
Let's get this thing down. That's what she said. All right, take it away.
I knew that would make Dyer's day. I went to play it like last time we recorded, but I completely forgot to play that last time we recorded, and I was like, "Fuck! I need to find a place to fit that in," and I did. So
Love Ric Flair. He's the man. Yes. Gets me so jacked.
So now, Derek, we have, and then we have. So
so perfect.
So you know, if you say something really good, you get a woo. But I need something like if you go so far down a rabbit hole that's beyond that. Like we need something like that's like beyond, you know.
I got one.
Oh, what is it? There you go. Derek indicated. That's the other thing we got to do. I'm just killing time for Derek finishes. He's almost there. That's the other thing we got to do is we have to get Tyler on an episode so he can be one of the three, and then I'll host, and we have to do because his sports takes are almost as ridiculous as my sports takes are sometimes, so it makes it hilarious. But we have to do our own around the horn because we're all set. And we have mute buttons, and we can it'll be great. So we can time people out. Oh no, Dyer, I think didn't you say you already volunteered to have your chalkboard ready?
To have my what? The chalkboard?
Yeah, your chalkboard.
Hell yeah! For the Around the Horn episode.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you're gonna have a chalkboard ready to go. You're gonna write your Dr. Dyer quotations.
Yeah, man. I'll go full Woody Page on that.
I love it. That this episode needs to happen. Derek also mentioned right before you got in that we're also going to do an episode where we all draft a baseball team. We're not actually going to do fantasy because Derek's not allowed to do that, but just straight up draft a team and then see what the people think who drafted the best team. And are we drafting a team, Derek, or are we starting a franchise? So team for the season. One team. Got it. Okay. The chat wants to know, Derek, what you are eating because they say it looks delicious and that it deserves a. So he did tell me, but I'm trying not to be his shirt. His shirt says "Don't be a Richard." I'm trying not to interrupt his his scarfing of the sandwich too much, because you really don't want to be a Richard. You know, that's just
Richard free zone in here.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. There we go. There we go. What? The what
Okay.
the fuck is-
Sorry, I was trying to hurry up because you said to hurry up and eat it real quick, so I was eating as fast as I could.
Well, you were eating it. You know.
I
You're
eat
doing
fast
pretty
to
well.
begin with, anyway.
Yeah.
First, handsy, no, I'm not eating my butt. That was actually this weekend. For those that want to know what I'm talking about, because it's very weird, I made my first pork butt, or pork
Ooh,
shoulder if you're doing it.
Congratulations.
And
Congratulations.
dude, it turned out fucking phenomenal. That was perfect. And one thing I will say too, I added Pepsi on top of it to give it a little
Nice.
crispy crust.
Yeah.
Bro, that was unbelievable. Unbelievable. My brisket was good too. It just wasn't. I think I was so focused on this pork butt since it's
It
my
looked,
first
looked
one.
like maybe you left it on like.
No, it had the
you tend to
perfect
do that.
ring. No, it had the perfect ring. Everything was good. It just wasn't as good. Like in my opinion, the last week was way better.
Here's what I'm saying though, right? So pork butt, for those of you who want to get into smoking, meats, veggies.
I mean, if you want to get into smoking
Starches.
too, that's fine too. That's
You can also,
I'm telling you now.
but you don't generally do it with a pork butt. I mean, I guess you could.
The
I don't know
pork
how that
butt,
would
I
work, though.
smoked my pork butt.
No, I meant like.
Oh,
smoke-
smoking. Yeah, I
Yeah,
got you.
I don't think that would work as well.
Yeah, it
with a
wouldn't.
pork butt.
It-
I mean, a
Forget about it.
pork. A
I don't.
pork,
I don't
a
know
pork butt. A
how
butt
fucked
bong.
up you'd get. A butt bong.
A butt bong.
But
But yeah, pork butt extremely easy to smoke, very straightforward to smoke, and they turn out delicious. And it's a really good like way to experiment with flavors and kind of figure out what kind of flavor profiles you like. At the end of the day, you get pulled pork. So like, who's really complaining? Nobody.
correct.
No one has ever complained about pulled pork.
Yeah,
in
it
their
was-
life.
That was amazing. And they were talking about it today on the show, the morning show, and they were saying it locked up one of the other hosts because they were saying, yeah, we were eating Derek's butt and it was really good. And then Choppy was like, oh, so his butt was pretty good. You enjoyed his butt, and he goes, oh man, it was phenomenal. He had really good butt. And then
Cheeks were just.
well, they kept making some other funny comments too, and then Sean, who was the other guy, was trying to start the next segment, like he was trying to get out of it, and then he couldn't hold it. He just started busting up laughing, and then that was it. So it was pretty funny. But the sandwich that I ate for your viewers and for mine, since they're not really asking, but it was a spicy turkey club sandwich, but it was a lot bigger than I anticipated. But it was phenomenal. Now you're gonna watch
So-
me stuff my face with Caesar salad.
So on a scale of on a scale of 1 to 10, or actually on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 to 10. What are we going with here on that last sandwich? We giving us
Oh, it's definitely it's a 9. It's a 9.3,
a 9?
9.4
Okay.
for sure. I mean, that was
I respect a good sandwich. I like a good sandwich.
agreed. And I'm just trying to eat a little bit healthier for the meantime. Like I just want to lose a little bit more weight. I'm at a pretty good weight where I'm at now. I'm at 222. But I'd like to just drop down. I'd like to try to get under 220, but I really don't. It doesn't matter. My body is so used to where I'm at now, so it's nothing too
It's
crazy.
not too bad.
So
Hey, what do you call a salad from a Mexican restaurant?
I got both hands ready to go on each button Dyer. So it's just,
this is gonna
yeah.
be great.
Go ahead.
Cesar.
Thank you, Terps.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was
man.
ready to go, but I was right there. I was, just so you know, Dyer, I had my pointer finger on the ding, and I had my ring finger on the buzzer. So I was ready to go either way there. I was ready to go either way.
Wow, Dyer. That's
That was bad.
your kids would love that though.
It's a dad joke.
It is a dad joke, but on a scale of dad jokes, that ranks near the bottom.
I think it's pretty good.
Of course you do. It's your joke.
You must have got a good reaction today from the kiddos.
Yeah, you must have said something. Yeah, they must have laughed.
Hey, that played well years ago. I was playing, I forget what game it was. I was playing with Ricardo. Remember Ricardo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Playing with him. That played well with him. He liked it.
Cesar.
Yeah.
I mean, Caesar salad was invented in Mexico City. Like that's a fact. Like that's a thing. That's not like a. So I guess the joke. I mean, if you understand the history of the salad, sure. But my chat's disappointed in your joke. Just want you to know that.
There was some good. We need to try to get him on one day. He's pretty funny. Lucius Alexander. He's he runs the soundboard and everything for one of the shows up here. And he was doing on the other show the night they called the Get Right that they were doing Black History Month stuff, going over that. Lucius is black for those that don't know. And he came up with he was putting out, what do you call them? They were black fun facts. Bro, there was some really good ones that he had out there. I was like, dude, I want to talk about this. We need to get these out there because that was incredible what he was showing. So something hopefully we can get him on here and he'll talk about it.
I'm always open for guests.
It was, well, of course, it was really good. Like I was very, very impressed and I had no clue.
Dyer, one of my chatters says, as a Mexican, I'm disappointed.
Well, at least he's disappointed and he's not offended. So
No, he's
thank God.
I will say this guy is not one of them guys to get offended.
I know they're out there though.
So,
But I know he's
they
not.
are
He's
out
not.
there.
He's not.
He's not. If he's in my stream, he's not one of them. Because
Yeah.
you wouldn't last too long in my streams.
I feel like that's an offensive joke.
No.
Mm-mm.
But you can wear the wrong shoe these days and it be offensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true.
Like Derek's shirt would be offensive. Because people would think he's specifically talking about Richards.
Yeah. To all the Richards out there, they'd be pretty offended.
Yeah.
I'd be like, well, my dad's not offended, and he is a first class Richard. Not well. Okay, he's not a dick, so never mind. You know.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't. Yeah, you know, I picked up what you're putting down there. I got it. Yeah, but I could see. Oh, you want it? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, but
it was a shot at it was a shot at my dad. And that's not how that should have been. It's not calling him a dick. So
no.
I deserve the thumbs down.
But it is hard though when you're trying to explain this joke of your shirt, because no matter how you do it, you're gonna offend whoever you're explaining it to. And if their name's Richard, you're going to it's at them. There's nothing you can do about it. You know, don't be a Richard. Oh, well, I am a Richard. It means dick.
Yeah, but then then Dick's gonna get offended.
Exactly. And can't go to Dick's Sporting Goods.
Have an Uncle Dick.
Richard Sporting Goods.
Yeah. Or Dick's out in Dick's Burger Joint, the burger chain out in Seattle.
Dick's out for Harambe.
I think that was a different movement, Dyer. I think that was.
Hey, was it Dick's Last Resort? Is that what it's called? Is that what you're talking about?
I think it's just Dick's.
Dick's Last Resort's totally different. That's the restaurant where
It's
they're
a
jerks
restaurant.
to you.
Oh, okay. That's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Well, no, but there's a chain called Dick's Burger in Washington.
No, I believe that. No, I just thought maybe
They
that's
serve
what
hot dogs.
they serve hot dogs. They're glizzies there. Yeah, they're glizzies there. You know.
Dyer can
But
get a
even-
rebound
Nice
for
big
that one.
Dick burger.
Yeah, he's not quite achieved woo status, but he can get a ding. Well, guys,
Wait, hold on.
welcome. Oh, yeah, go for it.
Will Dyer get a woo this entire show today?
Ooh, what are we putting it at here?
Can Dyer get his own thing that he really wants? He really wants that woo. You know he
He
does.
really wants the woo. Yeah,
He's
And you know what? He
probably
gets it.
laughing right now, covering up the mic, whatever. He's laughing because he knows he really wants that woo.
Yeah, you know what? He's also gonna be really upset if one of us gets it this episode and he doesn't. He'll be really upset if that happens.
We have to get it before him.
We have to get it before him. We have to find a way to get a woo first. You know
And
he's scheming right now.
But it has to be approved though. Like if you
Right,
do
I
give
can't
it to
just
us,
be like, hey, Derek, like that doesn't count.
if you do it, he can dispute it. So if somebody gets it, we can still dispute it. But if you don't get it right, like if you dispute it and you lose your case, oh man, you're done. You're out.
You're done. You're out. Dyer's strategizing now. He's like, how do I get the first woo? How do I do it? He wants to be a member of the woo crew. So
Yeah, you need to be a member of the Woo Crew.
I can get you the Devil Sell Woo Crew shirts. You want one? There's Woo Crew on the front of it.
Is that a Devil's thing?
Yeah. Every goal they do the woo song. They do the woo song. They do one woo.
The
for
King
each
of Woo
goal.
song?
The woo song. they do 1 woo for each goal. A bunch of teams do that, but the Devils do it as well. And when PK Subban was there a few years ago, he went to Ric Flair and got a Ric Flair jacket from Ric Flair, but then made it all Devils on it. And so they had you know how, Derek, you had the belt? They had a Ric Flair jacket.
Oh shit.
I like
robe,
that.
rather.
I like that.
With
I'd
blue
like
on
to.
the
I
back
would
of
like
it.
to try to get a Ric Flair robe if I can find one.
If you get a Ric Flair robe, then you get a woo. And that's
Oh
just how
yeah,
it
I mean
works.
that's
how that works.
That's automatic woo.
Right. You have to get a woo there. But I mean, if you don't get a woo there, that's just exactly. I think you got a bad robe. Got a bad robe. Well, I suppose we should finally actually start. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to season 3, episode 5 of Off the Fair Poll with myself, Terp17, Mr. Diremaker, and Mr. Derek Dutch Oven Holland himself. Remember, don't be a dick, as his shirt says. But we are here today. We got a bunch to talk about because, of course, we didn't go last week because over the past 10 days or so, 11 days, maybe 12 days, over the past 12 days or so, every single member of this podcast, keep in mind, we're all in different states, separated by thousands of miles, have been hit by some sort of illness truck in the past, 2 weeks. It's just been running through the podcast. That's just how it is. I got it yesterday. Eric got it, 2 weeks ago?
I think so.
Dyer
Yeah.
had it
We had
last.
that ice
Dyer had
storm
it
here.
Yeah, Dyer had it last week. So, it's just running through us. So we weren't here last week. We apologize for that. So we got some stuff to talk about. The Super Bowl happened. The laughing stock that is the NBA All-Star Game happened. Because even the NBA pundits were not happy about this year's NBA All-Star
It
Game.
sucked.
It was so bad. Even the biggest NBA shills were just shitting all over it. Just saying, not great. We got some baseball news to talk about. We have some NCAA baseball news to talk about because there's some new rule adjustments that came out. And let's just say, well, Dyer ain't happy about them. He is not happy about them.
Oh, the NCAA rules. Is that where?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
We can start with that.
Yeah. Those are absolute horse shit. I hate that you can't celebrate the bat flip thing. I hate how people get bothered by that, especially being a pitcher that's given up plenty of home runs. I never got mad. I don't care. If anything, the one that would maybe upset me the most is the one that barely gets out that you think is gone, that you got super lucky it got over the fence. Other than that, I can give two shits because I'm the one that made the bad pitch. I get to watch it go away. Just like if I strike you out, I could pull a Kenny Powers and flip you off if I wanted to, or tell you to suck it. But I mean, it's just how I am. But I'm not going to get mad because you do a bat flip.
So there's more than just that. So there's the rule.
No, I know.
There's a bunch of rule changes. I want to get it because it's worse than what you're saying. That's the thing.
Right. I heard that it's the bat flip into the opposing dugout.
It's more than that. It's way more than that because I actually pulled up the rules that I wanted to see. I was like, these rules, and I found more.
All right,
So
let's do it.
They changed rule 5-2-D for Dick.
Richard.
This new rule is after a home run, scoring play, or end of a half inning, teams shall not bring celebratory props onto the field of play. So no more home run chains on the field. No more pretending to go hunting on the field. None of the fun stuff that the teams got a lot of credit for doing last year, and the NCAA rolled out and was like, oh, let's celebrate these guys having fun. Can't do that anymore. Cannot do that anymore. It's intended to minimize the potential acts of unsportsmanlike conduct directed at the opposing teams or players on field of play. They're just how many people are really upset about this, and how many of them are just trying to old farts, don't want it in the game.
I like that you did use old farts as your term.
Thank you. They are also bringing up the Ghost Runner to get in line with Major League Baseball, starting in the 10th inning or the 8th inning of a 7-inning game with runner on second base.
Okay,
but that's only per conference. So if the conference doesn't have this rule, then in conference play doesn't happen. Or if or it's let's say Maryland versus Tennessee, right? And the SEC has a rule, the Big Ten doesn't. They have to agree prior to start of the game whether they follow that rule or not. but it's more just to get in line with Major League Baseball, so everyone's kind of gets used to it. Makes sense. That one makes sense. So they are changing the rules of verbal abuse, bench jockeying, to be more inclusive of unsportsmanlike conduct such as props, signs, bat flips near or towards opponents. What does that mean? Like, what is near?
I'm assuming it's one towards the pitcher or at the catcher. Two, it could be near the opposing dugout, which sometimes you see them flip it up and it goes that way. Whatever. I could see that. The signs. That's you. Grow the fuck up. Like, if you can't handle somebody holding a sign that says you suck or whatever,
It's coming from a dugout. What kind of sign is it?
yeah, get
They're not
the
like-
fuck out of here, pussies. God dang.
So here's
it,
my
man.
question: what if you're a right-handed batter, right, and your dugout is on the third base side? Their dugout's on the first base side. You pimp one. You bat flip, leaving out the box. Bat naturally goes towards the first base dugout. Their dugout. Tell me some power hungry umpire is not going to call that.
100%.
When you're just-
Anything remotely close or in that direction will get called.
And you
What
know
are you
that
supposed to
they're
do? Just tomahawk chuck your bat across the
Back
diamond
towards your
towards your
dugout?
dugout?
Yeah, fuck yeah, I'm doing. I'll turn, look at my fucking teammates, get them to jump up, throw my fucking bat over there, walk halfway down to first base, and just watch my fucking ball go over the fence, and then I'll
what
run.
happens? What happens if your is standing considered unsportsmanlike conduct now?
What are you gonna get, a 15-yard penalty? First down?
I don't know how that. I don't know what happens if you violate these rules. Are you out?
That would be the only thing I could think of. It's got to be an out.
Or does a run not count if it's a home run? What if it's the end of an inning? Do you get 2 warnings and you're ejected, or do you just get ejected? Is it just an ejection?
Yeah.
Because, like, first of all, why are they upset about props? Because they spent all of last year propping up props, if everyone remembers.
Yeah.
I think it was Miami's had the turnover chain. They also had the home run chain or whatever it was.
And they
People
liked
have
it.
Had, like, the bats or
Everybody
everyone
liked
loved
it.
it.
Fans loved it.
yeah.
So wait, hold on. Let me add this then. Does that mean that, like, for instance, I know this from Texas A&M we were talking about today. Does that mean that the crowd's not allowed to chant ball 2, ball 3, ball 4, ball 5?
This is directly at the players. So I don't know if it like extends to fans or not, because you can only do so much about the fans. Like, it's not like basketball where you can issue a bench foul for the fans, or like football where you can issue a similar or unsportsmanlike conduct penalty because of the fans. What do you do in baseball? Like, it's not.
I mean, I got tossed.
Well, I'm saying you got tossed, but like, are you gonna toss the student section?
No, you can't.
No.
They can toss, actually, people out of the stands.
Well, they can. How are you getting a student section out? How are you clearing out Texas A&M?
You clear the whole thing.
Toss the whole crowd.
Yeah.
How?
You literally say, all of you, gone. I don't know exactly who was the culprit, whatever, but everybody out.
Right. I mean, that's how you do it. But like, the more question is how? Like, how? Like, you can't facilitate that.
Mm.
And then it becomes a black and white of, well, what if it wasn't what they said? Like, it's just, I understand it depends how they enforce this rule, in my opinion. If we're talking about some of the ridiculous things that we've seen, there was a case where, like, I think it was 2 years ago, where a batter bat flipped and double birded the other team. Like, I get that. We want to get that out of the game. Fine. Understood. Derogatory comments. I get that. Sign with inappropriate language. Whatever. Get that. You know, throwing a bat at somebody or whatever. I get that. Like a direct, but like.
But if you look at
Why-
every time a pimped home run or any of that stuff has happened, when have they ever thrown it at somebody?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Maybe once or twice. Once or twice, maybe you've seen a bat flip intentionally go towards somebody. But it's not
Yeah.
common.
But
It's
yeah.
not like, yeah. Like, Dyer, you play Division 1. How would you feel about these rules being implemented when you were at Ohio State? Like, granted, the Big Ten is not the craziest of baseball conference. Well, it's getting there now, but it wasn't when you played, obviously. It was still kind of growing. But like, how would you kind of handle, like what are you doing? You have to golf clap when you're dugout now?
Yeah, I guess it kind of makes it to where you almost just can't bat flip anymore. Because for the simple reasons we just talked about, if you're going to first base and the visitor's dugout is on the first base side, like the clip that we saw, he didn't throw it
No, he
dugout. He tossed it straight up in the air. But just because the dugout was on the same side of the field as he was, then I guess it technically went towards their dugout. So it completely kind of outlaws it from the game.
Or what about if you get a double and you start screaming? Like, if you're not angled at your dugout, does that become a problem? Or do they think you're on the third baseman?
You
Right,
can't,
pitcher.
but you can't do any of that stuff though. You can't have any celebrations. Guys can't come out of the dugout.
Yeah, that's the other part of the rule is no more celebrations outside the dugout. So if your buddy comes out to like, chest bump you outside the dugout,
I'm gonna back off. No,
technically-
no, can't do that.
No, can't do that.
Get out of here.
What if you
Like-
just walked it off? And people come out of the
know. I mean,
dugout.
technically
Are
the
you
game's
out
over.
and the game continues?
I think technically the game's over at that point. Excuse me.
So
by
you
the
still
way.
have to touch the plate?
Yeah, I mean you have
Yeah,
to.
but I wonder.
But at what point are you out then?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean I don't. I think it's just all stupid. We're becoming fucking soft.
Like I
It's
said,
embarrassing.
Yeah.
Think about it. As professional athlete, we would do things, and what do the college or kids do? They try to mimic us. So if they see us celebrating, of course they want to fucking celebrate. They're going to do the same thing. You're teaching kids in college, people can't have fun. Don't do that. Don't show any emotions.
Taking the excitement out of the game. It's an exciting
Yeah.
play, and you can't show that emotion now.
Nope. Like I'm wondering if a pitcher, if he strikes out, can he fist bump on his way out? Big moment. Terps, you're facing Dyer. You punch him out to end the inning in a big inning.
Who's it directed towards?
You're pumped up. You just struck
No, I
out
know,
a dude
but-
in a
but-
big moment.
Right, but am I fist pumping towards Dyer?
No, have I ever fist pumped towards
I know.
whoever?
But that's what these rules are saying.
Right.
Yeah, I see the point you're making.
Like the rules are saying, you cannot do any action that is towards an opponent or
Hurry up
towards
and
their
turn around
dugout.
towards center field and fucking fist pump right there.
Yeah,
That way my
Like,
back
it-
is to you and you can't say shit.
that's even more insulting. Turning your back on me? Wow. You know
Well,
what?
yeah,
Throw him
see,
out.
I
Throw him
mean-
out.
As funny as it is, you're
No, yeah.
absolutely right. Like you should ding yourself for that because it's true. That is 100% how it could be. And you know that. Well, he turned his back on me. That's bullshit. He's showing me up. No, he can't face you. Terps can't face you and fist pump, so he has to turn around and fist pump. And now you're offended by that. You're never going to win if we keep pushing like this.
No. And like, well, I'll be curious to see about what happens in tournament play. What happens when like it's really like Omaha. You made it to Omaha. Like that's where we saw some of the craziest celebrations.
Well,
the
you're
last
not going to
few
get
years.
to. I promise you.
What was the pitcher?
Louisville.
Louisville.
They was saying,
Yeah.
fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ain't going to see that.
You ain't doing that anymore. He gone. Or there was a kid, I think it was a kid from Tennessee last year or the year before, who had like a Tim Anderson style bat flip on like a crucial home run. That's gone.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
big moments, dude. It's
Yeah.
man, that's so dumb. We're ruining the games, all the games. You
Dude,
can
I
even
don't
say this about even in like NFL, for instance. You can't taunt. We saw taunting penalties. Like what the fuck? You got a first down. You're flexing. Fuck yeah, dude. That's a great moment, and you get a flag for that. Now we're gonna
It's
do
one-
this in college sports.
it's one thing if you do like a step over or like you like
Yes.
push a dude back down. Like that's different. But what you're talking about is just you get a sack and you flex.
Yeah,
And then they were calling that. That's ridiculous.
You can't it's stupid that you can't celebrate. These are
Yeah.
these moments that happen. It's not like they just do this when like we're up 12-0 in the 7th inning and we just fucking hit a bomb. Like they're not gonna pimp the shit out of it and show up that team then because I know college coaches will not allow that. Maybe in the major leagues, yeah, but college, no chance.
And the thing too is like
I got one for you.
I think the thing too is, again, what happens in those crucial games? What happens with those big games? What happens at the big time schools, the schools that have the big crowds, and now these are people being egged on by the crowd. You know, what happens furthermore, what if you're the away team? Dyer, what if you're Ohio State, right? You went down to play Texas A&M and you know, they were winning and you tie the game up in the 6th and you silence that crowd and you pimped one. What are you doing, Dyer?
Pimping the shit out of it.
I'm
Talking
pulling.
about wait.
I'm pulling
Yeah.
my dick out.
You're the batter.
Yeah.
You're Ohio
I'm
State.
going ham on it. Of course.
You're turning around to that crowd. You're shushing that crowd.
Oh fuck yeah! Pulling my
You're-
dick out and going like
Whole
this.
nine. Yeah.
Sit down.
All day.
Like, and they don't want that in the game, and it's just like,
Don't be surprised. This is where I was going to put this. Don't be surprised now if you hit a homer and they have a time clock on you. You have to break 30 seconds to get around the bases.
that's coming to MLB. Watch. That'll come to Major League Baseball. Speed
With-
up the game.
Well, with what's going on with you might not even have to run the bases here soon. They might just say, "Fuck it, you're done. Just go back in."
A few of the other rules are thrown, which makes sense. They're bringing in the pitch clock again, just to kind of get in line with. Again, no one likes the rule, but it makes sense for college to do that if that's what the pros are doing. Just
I
catch
mean,
the
yeah,
kids.
yeah, I get that
Yeah,
part makes
that's just-
sense, but
Yeah. The rule itself does not make sense. But
yes, it's stupid.
although
not gonna last.
did you see? I don't know if you guys saw this. Max Scherzer was throwing live VP to Francisco Lindor, and the Mets had to put a big clock up right behind home plate so the pitcher could get used to what 15 seconds was. And Max got the ball and he stood there and he waited to pitch until the 14th second, and it got to 13 seconds and Lindor yelled time and stepped out. And Scherzer goes, "You get one of those. You only get one. Get back in." And so I'll be curious to see how some of these more experienced pitchers are able to kind of play mind games, and also where those clocks are situated.
You can't because I'm pretty sure you have to be in motion
By when the clock
by
expires.
like yeah.
You can throw, from what they were saying, what they were explaining from the tweet, because people were asking that, you can, as long as your motion starts prior to that 15 seconds being up, is what they were told.
Hmm.
So if you can start your motion inside that 14th second or 13th second and get really good at that, you can play some mind games if you're experienced or
Yeah.
just quick thinking. What they changed some other cool things, and not cool things, but I mean some of them were cool, I guess. In here they brought back the force slide rule. They just had injuries, and it makes sense.
Force slide.
I'm actually surprised they didn't have this. The runner must slide in the direct line between his position and the base. So
Oh, it's no
basically
longer you
the
can't
Utley
go
rule.
arm
Yeah.
length, or you can only go arm length.
No, they say direct line between, not always in a direct line between the two, not always in a direct line between the two bases. It's from him to the base. So
Okay, so you can
it's a
only
direct-
go.
It's a direct line from you to the base, not in between the bases, if that makes sense.
I don't like that.
Um,
The only reason why I don't like it is when you're sliding to second, guys try to hit the corner of the bags
yeah.
to help them, get to the bag. Maybe it's sooner or whatever. I mean, I get it, but I'd be okay if we didn't have it. I'm okay if we have it.
I want to know where some of these issues came from. A pitcher shall be issued one warning when they go to the mouth and neglect to wipe for touching the ball or engaging the pitcher's plate.
I think that's
Subsequent
always been something.
violations, well, not in college.
Oh.
Subsequent violations will result in a ball.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure
Like-
if I ever licked, I'd always have to make sure I touch my pants.
I thought
Right,
that was always a rule.
Yeah.
But I'm just surprised that they're just adding this now to college.
I mean, there's ways, like, I'm not gonna lie, there's multiple times that I've licked my hands and act like I touched my pants and keep my hand wet so
Yeah.
I can grip the ball. But that's yeah.
They reinforce their balk rule. It's a lot of the stuff's is catching up. They've added video replay rules because a lot of these big time schools don't have video replay or have the ability to do video replay. Their pitch clock is 20 seconds, however, as opposed to 15.
That's fine. It should be.
Yeah.
They should have more time than.
To get used to it, yeah. And they're not requiring clocks till 2024. You have to have a countdown clock visible by 2024. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's normal.
Yeah, that just. Other than that, I mean, the rules are just kind of cleanup rules.
I hate
things
the
like
pick off
that.
rules. The pick off or step off rule is
Yeah.
absolutely atrocious. For those that don't know, I know obviously the guys in here do, but those that don't, it's 2 step offs are allowed per batter, and that's with a runner on. So if a runner is on, you can only do 2 step offs with the batter that's at the plate. Third time you step off, if you are making an attempt to pick somebody off, you have to get them out. Otherwise, it's an automatic balk. And if there's nobody on after 2 step offs, it is an automatic ball.
So
Stupid.
yeah, it's dumb.
Yeah, I don't like that.
That's stupid. Here's an interesting one.
You can't control the running game. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off
No,
there,
you're
Terps,
good,
but
you're good.
it's so frustrating as a left-handed pitcher. My job when I get a runner at first base is control that running game so that I can create a double play. And the way to do that is pickoffs. Picking off, keeping the guys' leads nice and short. Yes, I'll mix up my times with high leg kick, low leg kick, middle leg kick, whatever. I'm mixing everything up. But if we have a regulation on pickoffs, all you're doing is giving the runner the advantage, which therefore is not creating any speed of the game. If anything, you're creating more action, otherwise known as stolen bases. You're still having to deal with the pace of play, which isn't going to change. That's why this all is not going to do much.
Yeah. The other rule that's actually kind of interesting that I just fell upon, or I was skimming through this as you were talking, is they're not changing the size of their bases. They're keeping them at 15 inches. However,
Aren't they already? Are they bigger than?
no, they're not smaller.
Oh, okay.
But what they're doing now at non-institutionally owned facilities, so let's say you, like last year when they played at Rangers ballpark, those facilities are allowed to use 18-inch square bases. So they're basically just making a rule to say, well, if you go to play at a major league ballpark, they don't have to change anything. AKA, we don't have to bring our own bases.
Yeah, yeah,
It's basically
That
what it
makes-
is.
Guess that makes sense.
yeah. That's fine.
It's just interesting.
Not worried
it's just
about
an
that.
interesting, like kind of catch up rule with them. I guess the thing that frustrates me a little bit with these rules is college sports for me has always been the emotional game. Doesn't matter what sport it is. College sports has always been the emotional one in terms of how the players are, how the fans are for the most part, for most sports and things like that. For the most part, it just because there's so much more variety in terms of competition level, and there's so much more intense rivalries that happen on the whole in college that I feel like a lot of these rules trying to take away from that, A, are going to fail, and B, are just going to take away from what the essence of what college sports have been. Like, for example, when the NCAA tried to crack down on student interaction or student fans and student fans interactions at basketball games and tried to they were pushing all these be nice, don't say dick, don't say fuck you, whatever it was, like don't say like cursing will not be tolerated. Okay, you go tell the 12,000 drunk students that they can't say you suck. Try just go try.
They're not
Let me know
gonna-
how that works for you.
It's like telling a
They're going
kid.
to tell you suck.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like telling a kid the pan's hot. Don't touch it. They're gonna touch it.
And it's like part of the cool part about college is when you hear the student sections. You see the guys at Cameron Indoor going to do a pass, and you see the fan base just all reaching out for them. You know, when you hear, you know, the Michigan versus Ohio chants at those games, when you hear like all of that going on, when you hear the craziness at, you know, some of these football schools, some of these baseball schools, like that's what makes college.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get that atmosphere at an MLB game. You don't get that atmosphere at an NBA game. You don't get that atmosphere at a NFL game, unless you're in Philly. But point being is like that's what made college, and they're trying to like coddle this down and make this more friendly or whatever. And I'm just like, you're literally taking away the heart of what college sports are, which is to me sad. It's not good.
Yeah. I mean, don't be surprised when they try to eliminate everything, and it's not about having fun anymore or competing. It's about making sure everybody's happy.
I'm just happy
there
that
is no
there's-
winners, there's no losers. Or sorry, we're all winners.
Yeah.
People aren't going to come.
No.
If you make it to where it's not more fun to go to the game than it is to sit and watch it on your couch, people just sit and watch it on the couch. People aren't above that. I mean, there were games in college that, at Ohio State where I was like, this isn't going to be that great of a game. It's not, it's not going to be as crazy of a crowd because it's, Western Michigan or something like that. So, I'm not going to try and get tickets to this. If I had tickets, I'd sell them or something like that. And I'd sit at home and have more fun with my boys,
Yeah. But like, when you make every game like that, and that's what a lot of places are trying to do. It's just, first of all, you can't control. The only way you control the drunk college is you don't let them in. And it's straight up what you do is you don't let them in. But that's never going to happen. And at some of those diehard schools, it's not always the college students acting like college students. Passionate fan bases are passionate fan bases. You're going to get those chants from the 50-year-old, the 80-year-old, the 70-year-old, the 10-year-old, 20-year-old. Like, stop trying to... And I think the thing, too, that a lot of people who make these rules don't realize is, Derek, when you would tell an opposing player or someone, for the most part, sit down, or you'd fist pump, or you'd celebrate. I'm going to guess that 99% of the time, it was nothing personal with that player.
Correct.
It was, sure, there may have been 1%, one time, two times where it was personal, but most of the time, it wasn't, you weren't going at that player as a person, you're going at that player as an entity. I struck you out, but it's not against you. Like, I don't care about you, Bob. It's just competition. All it is. You're not trying to insult them.
Yeah, I mean,
Or go at them personally.
I didn't really ever, it's not like I was trying to ever show anybody up. I
Right.
could say that. I mean,
That's most people.
I mean, the only thing that I think would drive some of the players that I was playing against and it works was when I was talking to them while they're in the box or over at first base. They'd all be confused. Like, what is he talking to me? And then they'd tell my first baseman, like, what's wrong with him? Why is he talking to me? And they would go along with it.
But yeah, I mean, but
But
the
nobody
NCAA
like
right.
yelled at me or anything.
But the NCAA is having this weird, I think they're kind of misinterpreting a bat flip at somebody as being a direct insult to that person, as opposed to just being I beat you kind of thing.
It's simply an expression of emotion.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
You're not allowed to do that, though.
They're making it more than it is, and them doing this is what makes it. It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy in that way.
Yeah, but it's just
It's going to get worse.
just no
What's gonna
fun.
happen.
It's the fun police.
It's a bunch of old farts who want the game to be civil and the way it was, huh? But like,
It's got to be some
then-
seriously old people because remember MLB put out the whole thing and Snag put this out there. Let the kids play. That was
and then
always the
find Sam
thing.
Anderson the next week.
Yeah, I know, but it's all just dumb. Like that's what I'm saying. You either do it or you don't. We can't say one thing and then do the complete opposite. And to me, if we're trying to bring out the best of everything in all the games, then you need to let it go. You cannot sit here and let that shit bother you. Like it's unbelievable. I mean, I hate it.
It's all, and the thing that's crazy is the best games are the ones that are self-policed. The ones where okay, you can do this action, but this is gonna happen. You hit my batter, I'm gonna hit you. I'm gonna hit your batter. And there's always, yes, the rules had to be changed about throwing people's heads, and obviously that makes sense, right? That we are in agreement with.
Yeah.
Rules had to be changed about going spikes up, things like that. Like stuff like that had to be changed for obvious reasons.
Correct.
But there are some things like self-policing I feel like they could just kind of keep happening. And instead of players testing boundaries and trying to see what they can get away with or being too scared to really do what they want to do or celebrate the way they want to celebrate, it just creates this weird vacuum of blah, like boringness.
But we need the excitement. We need the emotion.
These guys want you, Derek, to strike someone out in the 9th inning of the World Series. Take your hat off, bow to the crowd, and walk to the dugout.
Nope, that's probably too much too.
Well, no, maybe. Yeah,
Shouldn't have
It's
took your
all right. I
hat
mean,
off.
it's
that's
true.
true. You shouldn't take your hat off. You're
I
right.
shouldn't have bowed because
Shouldn't
last
have
time I
bowed,
did
yeah.
that, I got accused of being racist. So whatever.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Even though I spoke Japanese and everything else, but it's fine.
But like that's what they want you to do. They want you to hit a home run. They want you to gently set your bat down. They want you to trot at a reasonably brisk pace around the bases. Step on home plate and pick your bat up and briskly trot back to the dugout and sit down with your teammates. That's what they want you to do.
Shit's boring. Nobody wants to see that, except for these old misers making these rules.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm done with that. It's so dumb what we're trying to do. We are not playing the game.
Which brings us into the other topic that was brought up too, which is the whole Tiger situation. Which first of all was hilarious. And they both found it hilarious. But Derek, you want to talk a little bit about that one?
What is it?
He slipped him a tampon.
Oh yeah, it's shit.
Man pond.
Why is that? How is that offensive? Like what is it that's so bad about it? Like it's just them being funny to each other. And what sucks is your own actions with friends. Like if I sat here and we were all playing against each other and we started dogging each other, it's like we can't do that anymore because somebody that could be watching, one person might not like it. Whereas like I've talked to females about it and they're like, that's funny as hell. I didn't have one single female that I know that's a friend that I've talked to that about this and actually say, oh yeah, I was offended. None of them didn't care. They're like, yeah, that's pretty funny actually. And it's like, yeah, it is funny.
And it was too, he also did it in such a subdued way. Like it was very clear, he was trying to keep it low profile, trying to keep it a joke. He wasn't like, throwing tampons on him saying, stop being a pussy. Like he was literally just palming in his hand, shaking his hand and being like, like it was that kind of thing. And
it's like, it's a joke. Do you know how many other things they probably do?
Oh yeah.
The camera hasn't caught, thank God. Because that's offensive. Fuck, we got to. I guarantee and the thing that sucked is Tiger should not even apologize. I get it. He doesn't have the cleanest slate in the world because of whatever has happened in the past. I don't care. It's not about that. But right now, him playing the game of golf, keeping things loose, being that guy, like having fun with people, his young group. He's the veteran guy that everybody looks up to, like, damn, that's fucking Tiger Woods. And then all of a sudden, he can go home and be like, yeah, dude, he slipped me a tampon because he outdrove me. Like, that's funny. Everybody in their right mind okay, you know what? I shouldn't even say it that way. I would almost go out to say 99% of the people that saw that actually are into golf or pay attention to golf thought that was funny.
Or
that 1%,
didn't know what he handed him.
With that too, but that 1% that doesn't watch golf, that doesn't know anything about what's going on with that, is what was offended. I guarantee whoever was offended was somebody that didn't even watch or doesn't watch golf.
And it's the same thing, like to some extent, with the DeMar Hamlin thing at the Super Bowl, where he wore a stylish coat.
The Jesus thing.
Yeah, the Jesus coat. He wore a stylish coat, and again, I don't want to speak out against religion. People are allowed to believe whatever they want to believe, support whatever they want to support, have faith in whatever God and whatever strength they want to be at. But people are going after him saying you shouldn't have worn that coat because you need to be thanking God for having saved you.
As a Christian,
How do you know he wasn't?
I was gonna say, as a Christian, I'm not offended by that. That's his fashion stuff. That's his style. Does nothing to me.
people were going after him.
I know, I
saying
saw
how
those.
it was insane. And what was funny to me was, I didn't say this, but I'm like, I saw a bunch of threads and I clicked on the profiles of people who were saying it, and they were the same ones who are pushing the DeMar Hamlin clone thing. And I'm like, so are you mad at the clone for wearing that? Or are you saying that it's DeMar Hamlin and he's alive and he's not a clone because you're mad that he's wearing Jesus jacket because Jesus say, I'm really confused about your viewpoint here. You gotta pick one.
I'm
You
with
gotta
you.
stick with one. You can't say he's a clone, but then also be mad at him for not being. I'm so confused. Pick one. Stick with a timeline here. Like, but it was It was like people legit, like not just like, you know, Bob and Jim and Karen going after him. It was like
Karen was definitely in there.
Karen was definitely going after him.
Definitely.
But
Yeah,
it was
definitely.
pundits. It was pundits. It was former athletes. It was some talking heads were going after him, and I was like, he's wearing a jacket he likes.
Yeah.
Can we celebrate the fact that he's walking around wearing a jacket?
Like,
First of
as a,
all-
a Christian myself, like I wasn't, like you said, Derek, I wasn't offended either. And not only that, like, if you were as devout as some of these folks say they are, wouldn't you celebrate the fact that he's bringing Jesus into the public eye?
Mm-hmm.
Well, why can't we look at it like that? Because just because he wore this jacket, he's not committing some horrible act of blasphemy. It's a jacket. It's not like there were pentagrams and upside down crosses on it, which
And even
like-
if there were,
exactly. I
like,
mean,
it's a fashion. Like, he likes that jacket. Like, hell, if we were going against, you know, that, we could cancel half of the rap albums, all the metal albums,
of course.
like half of the stuff from the 90s with the emo covers.
Just
like,
don't be surprised. You might see that. So you might have given a lot of ideas to those
you're
that,
right,
the
sorry.
cancel culture.
Well, they already tried to cancel like Guns N' Roses, and that just didn't. You just didn't go. You can't cancel them.
Well, they've already canceled baseball teams and football
That's true.
teams.
Well, the team still exists. They just canceled the name.
Well, canceled them. There's no
Yeah.
you don't buy Cleveland Indians merchandise, do you?
That's true. That's true.
Canceled.
Well, I do, but
I mean, you can, but it's not anything new,
yeah,
not anything
yeah.
recent.
But
Canceled.
yeah, it's canceled it. Speaking of Super Bowl, let's talk about it because we missed it. Because we weren't here, so it's be a little behind. Sorry, guys. First of all, crazy game. Crazy game. Great game. What are y'all's thoughts on? I know Dyer, you saw it after the fact. But we'll start with you, and then we'll go to me, and then we'll let Derek's view as an athlete. What are y'all's thoughts on that call? That was a holding by the letter of the law. It was a holding, and it was admitted to be a holding by both parties, both players. So it wasn't a phantom call. It was a holding. But what are y'all's thoughts on that, and when that was called, and everything like that? And Dyer, we'll start with you.
I am a firm believer that if it's a foul at the beginning of the game, it is a foul at the end of the game. It doesn't matter what the situation is. I hate that shit. You see it in basketball all the time, where a guy goes up for a layup and gets absolutely fucking wally-bonked, and they swallow the whistle because you can't have a foul at the end of the game to decide it. Does that mean it's just the fucking Wild West in the last minute of a game? You can do whatever you want? That's not how the game is supposed to be played either. So, you know, I thought, quite frankly, I watched it. There wasn't a lot there, but there was enough there, I thought, and I didn't necessarily disagree with the call. It's one of those where you could have seen it both ways. If they didn't call it, you're like, you could have called it there. They did call it, you kind of say, you might not have called it there, but there was enough there for it to make sense. I didn't hate it.
I think for me, what annoyed me, correct, it's borderline, and I think that's what annoys me the most about it is there are a bunch of those borderline plays throughout the game, and I thought the refs did a very good job for the most part in the game, just keeping the flags in the pocket for the Super Bowl, just letting that kind of stuff happen because that happens. Not calling it, you didn't see that called for most of the game. There were some other ones that were, I think, more egregious that weren't called throughout the game. Whatever, that happens. For me, what was annoying is that they didn't call it all game, and then on that particular play, they chose to call that. So kind of in the same frame of what you were saying, Dyer. For me, like, If they had been calling that holding all game and then called it there, that makes sense to me. But when you keep the flags in your pocket all game, the entire game, and then on an extremely tic-tac foul where Juju doesn't even try to sell it, he just keeps going, and you basically end the game at that point. To me, that's one where that flag should probably stay in the pocket because you haven't been calling it all game, and it should stay that way, in my opinion. Obviously, how it ended is how it ended. The Chiefs ended up winning, but Derek, as an athlete, what's your take there?
Well, I want to throw this out too. There was 0 holding calls the entire game. That was one of the facts that was provided for that.
Until that point. So for me, before I get to the whole athlete side of it, should not have been called. If you are not going to call, as you guys had stated already, then you do not call at the end of it. Let that be a deciding factor. The reason that really upset me too is, yeah, it became the deciding factor. It was automatic. They got that now. Whereas it would have been 4th down, if I'm not mistaken. He would have been kicking a field goal, Butker was. And he'd already missed a field goal from that far out to begin with. And so for me, that is the thing that's very upsetting, is that changes the game, because the Eagles played outstanding. They showed a lot. Jalen Hurts showed a lot. Look, I get it. I got to cover the Cowboys, and I don't care too much for the Eagles, but I have to be honest. Jalen Hurts balled out. He took all the hate, the critics, everything telling him he sucked and he's not worthy of this. He shut everybody up. I was guilty of it too. Before the season, or during the season, I didn't think he was going to be this good. He shut everybody up, and I love that. Call, though, ruins it to me. I mean, I'm happy. Congratulations to Pat Mahomes. He is a friend, so I'm happy for him that they got that. Very cool to see. As an athlete, I am very upset, as if I'm that guy. Yes, I get it. I have to be honest and say, yeah, I did. I did hold him. You know, I didn't think it was that big of a call, or I didn't think it should have been called, is what I would have said. I could get away with it?
Yeah. And which is true. I mean, yeah, I would have thought I got away with it. You know, they haven't called any holding all day long, and now all of a sudden we're going to call it. I would have called that out too. I would have talked about that. It just sucks. That's the turning point of the game, really. That's where it ends there, because it was such a great game to begin with.
Well, so are we saying this then? Just because they missed calls earlier in the game, they should.
I don't think they missed
because
them.
they see this one.
I don't think they missed.
Okay,
them.
then it didn't happen. What?
No. I think that they. How do I got to word this right? I think that it was more along the lines of letting the two teams duke it out and let them play, because that's kind of how the calls were going. They weren't calling anything. They weren't, and obviously they were calling the egregious, like the false start, whatever it was, like obvious stuff they were calling.
Right.
But even then, there wasn't much called. They were letting the guy, and it wasn't an overly clean game either. There was times where fans were yelling for holding or pass interference. It wasn't being called, and it wasn't egregious. It wasn't anything crazy, but they kept the flags in their pocket and let the two best teams in the NFL duke it out to see who would win the game. And the level of fouls that they let go, in my opinion, prior to this one, in some cases were more egregious than this one.
Yeah. I'm with you. I get what you're saying, Dyer, but like, if you're not going to call shit all game and then you're going to call that after seeing some of the big missed calls that were earlier in the game, and this is the call you want to make at this time, that's not right.
Apparently didn't follow the script then. I mean, if you're
True.
if you're gonna say that, I mean, my next question would be, well, why didn't we call those? If we didn't miss them and we're saying swallow the flags, why didn't we swallow the flags all game long? Which lends credence to these conspiracy theories.
Well, they swallowed the flags up until the last minute and 25 seconds.
But that's kind of my point. That's the inverse of my point.
The script.
Like, again, if it's not at the beginning of the game, then it's not at the end of the game.
Correct. Yeah. And I just felt. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's what I was just gonna say. It was a penalty.
It was 100% a penalty. But I think I just find it odd that you swallow the flags all game, and then happen to call it there. Like that to me is it's just why. Like, yeah, you made the right call. Like, I can't.
100%.
It's not like you made up a penalty or a phantom call or anything. Like, you made the right call, but why did you throw the flag there when you guys didn't throw it at all for the rest of the game? On much less.
I'm with you,
egregious.
Derbs. I'm with you.
Yeah. Like,
I see your point there for sure.
Like, that's what gets me, and that's kind of what annoys me. There is it was a great game, and then to kind of have this, well, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles didn't get a chance. They didn't get a chance to try to march on the field afterwards because of and of course the Chiefs fans are going, well, it was an actual penalty. They're right, and the Eagles fans are going, they didn't call it all game. They're right. So it's like, you know,
Yeah. Don't be a Richard.
don't be a Richard.
They're putting that in there. I love that.
Well, what are your guys' thoughts on the game? Obviously, Derek, you kind of gave yours with how the Eagles played and Chiefs played out of their minds.
I had the Eagles. You know, that was the one
You
thing.
did.
I think you guys both took the Chiefs, if I'm not mistaken. And
Some money.
I mean, it was a great game. Like it really could have been either way. I mean, I'm perfectly fine with even losing because they did everything they possibly could. That's one of those, like, if that was the Browns, yeah, it would suck that we lost the Super Bowl, but man, they fucking did everything they could. Chiefs were just the better team that day.
Dyer, what do you think?
100%. Wildly entertaining game, ton of offense. You know, some people I've seen poo-pooing the fact that there was no defense played, especially, but that's kind of the evolution of the game. It just is what it is, and I don't mind it so much. It was a fun game to watch. It was competitive. It was exciting. Came down to the wire. What more do you want in a Super Bowl?
Was there no defense, or were things just schemed well for the Super Bowl?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the other
Like-
thing, too. You know, we're talking about, Pat Mahomes, who could end up being, obviously still early in his career, but could end up being one of the all-timers. And Jalen Hurts, who hasn't been in the league that long, but he's playing fantastic football at this point, opening
The
a lot of eyes, surprising a lot of people.
Best O-line in the country in front of them.
I mean,
Yeah.
kind of an interesting team, too. Like, they don't have anybody that's really a standout player. Everybody does their job, and everybody does their job well, and they score a lot of points because of that.
That's how you maintain success, though.
Sure.
Is by you can win by having enough superstars, or you could win by just having one superstar and a bunch of really, really goods.
Like, how many other teams is Miles Sanders starting for? Sanders.
I mean,
know?
he
Their running backs aren't.
he would
you know-
start. He would start somewhere, but yes, I get your point.
Yeah,
But you know what I'm
He's
saying.
he's a solid number 2 on another squad, but
Sure.
he could be a solid number 1 too with a lot of teams.
yeah, depending on the team.
It helps having that offensive line though too.
100%.
Extremely balanced team.
Mm-hmm.
Just very little weakness, if any, from top to bottom on that team with them. But I guess the other thing we got to talk about is the other overshadowing factor of the game, which was the state of the condition of the field.
Yeah, a
Which
lot of people
was
slipping or slipping,
Atrocious.
not flipping.
Well, they may have been flipping.
Yeah, that's true.
The Eagles went and changed their spikes. The Chiefs did not. They spent $800,000 in 2 years of labor on this grass.
Is it slightly ironic how big of a deal they made about the guy that was like the groundskeeper or whatever
The Sodfather.
You got to
for
blame
every-
somebody.
for
It's his
every
grass.
for every Super Bowl since like the third one or some shit. Like, this is his last one. It's like, well, I guess the fucker just mailed it in.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you see that? So Oklahoma State was the university that housed the growing and helped with the growing of this grass. And before the game, they issued a big story about how it was their university turf grass that was being used, and they were so excited. And then after the game, they issued a press conference saying that while the grass was grown at Oklahoma State had very little to do with the actual selection of the grass that went into the grass. I was like, yeah, that's kind of funny.
Yes, you can give yourself a ding, please.
But
I just had that built-in excuse from the beginning. Like,
Yeah.
all right, if it sucks, this is what we're gonna say.
What was funny is I saw a description of this grass because I was interested, just, you know, how bad is this grass? And apparently one of the strands of grass that they used for it, like the top layer, so it had like a short layer grass. I don't know sod, but there's like a base layer and then the taller layer of grass. Apparently the taller layer of grass, which was ryegrass, on top. It was Bermuda on the bottom layer, and then they seeded the top layer with ryegrass. And one of the traits of this particular ryegrass, which is the green, which is the bright green, is that ryegrass, when it gets wet, gets very slick,
Like,
whereas
poor choice.
Bermuda grass does not. And my question is, why did they think that it wouldn't be slick because it was in the desert?
That's my guess.
But they're going to water the shit out of that field, and then they're going to spray
It's
it down
constantly-
with water so there's no pyrotechnics issues.
It's constantly being moved in and out of a stadium too. It's not
Yeah.
just sitting out in direct sunlight. It gets also into an enclosed area.
Correct. So I'm confused as to how that grass selection, and my bigger confusion with this whole thing, and maybe one of you guys can have a different idea here, but my big confusion with this, you spend millions of dollars making sure the World Series goes off without a hitch, making sure the Stanley Cup has no issues, making sure the Super Bowl has no issues, the NBA Finals has no issues. You spend millions and millions and millions of dollars making sure that there are no oddities that could happen that would affect the actual game itself. So why are you using a grass that no one's ever used before?
Maybe it's the
'Cause it
grass of
looks
the
pretty.
future. Or
But why would
the-
you test it on the Super Bowl? Like, that would be like, you know, Derek, you're gonna go play the World Series, and they tear up all the sod and put down brand new sod that you guys hadn't played on all year in the outfield, and said, "This is what we're using for the World Series."
Good luck. Yeah, I
Like-
wouldn't be happy about that.
It just makes no sense whatsoever. And then on top of that, Bermuda grass is tried and tested. Was it Kentucky Blue? Is that the other one? Is the other one that's like, those are the two like famous like sod like turf, but like those are the two that are known to be your most well-known grass fields. Everyone uses them. Everyone uses them because they work. They're tried and tested. Why not just want it to be perfect? Just yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. But I don't know anything about the grass.
Me neither. Me neither.
And
It's just-
I'm with you. Like, why are we trying brand new shit for an important?
the most important game
Game.
of the year with the most amount of money riding on it.
Yeah,
Like, although Dyer, one of the you know how you said there wasn't a lot of defense being played?
Yeah.
Did you see the video of the D lineman trying to get footing on the grass?
I didn't, but I'm
There's
sure
a
it was
video where
ridiculous.
they're trying to launch into the O line, and you just see their feet just getting swept out from under them by the grass. Like they weren't, none of them were able to get purchase.
Huh.
That's so damn frustrating as a lineman too.
But the O line, because they don't need to do that as much, were able to kind of do what they wanted. So I wonder if that may have led to some of the craziness that we saw. But we also saw Mahomes and Hurts both go to roll out and just be shot by a sniper. And not over at first, Fox tried to paint it, literally paint it by saying people were slipping on the paint because they overpainted the field.
Yes, they did.
And then like the next play,
Was in the
Patrick
open.
Mahomes was in the wide open and just.
I do remember that, actually. That's pretty good.
I was like, timing is great for it. Because some executives in the ear saying like, it's because of the paint. Because of the paint. Say it's because of the paint. And then everyone just slip and slide all over the place.
Whoops a daisy.
The Daisy is right. Jeez. My God. I don't understand it. The NBA All-Star game was a shambles. It was just bad. Did you guys watch it?
I watched the dunk contest. I
That's
did
cool.
watch some of the All-Star game just because I wanted to watch. I love watching Luka. I wanted to watch Kyrie. Just because I got to cover the Mavericks, so I'm kind of just paying attention to that. And I was kind of watching some of the XFL too, which was I like some of the rules that they have, but All-Star game was. It's just a joke. It's atrocious. It's almost as bad as the Pro Bowl.
It's funny, everybody shits on the MLB All-Star game. It's by far the best All-Star game out of the three major sports.
Hockey's a major sport.
They've stopped
But they
trying
play-
as hard.
Yeah, but they do the 3-on-3, which I like.
Yeah.
It. At least there's that. But I can't argue any of that. Dyer's 100% right that baseball's All-Star game is by far the best. And I think the big scare, I would say, with basketball is nobody wants to get hurt, which granted, it's not like anybody's trying to do that in baseball either. But they still care. They want to, you're representing your team, doing your thing. This was brought up. Me and Mike Bassick were talking about this, and it's something we're going to end up talking about again on the fan. But what if we did USA All-Stars against the World All-Stars? Because the World All-Stars, that's like Luka, Joker, all those guys, they are going to want to win because that's representing the country. That's going to turn it up a notch. Granted, yes, they're not going to play a full game, but they're going to get the minutes split up because I'm sure you can. There was 5 guys that right now that were playing in the All-Star game started for both teams. You take 5 guys that were on both sides, that would have been your world team starters. And then I don't know if there was any guys on the bench or reserves, but that was, you do that, I think that changes everything. And on top of that, this whole picking your teams bullshit. I mean, I get it. That's cool, whatever. But picking the reserves first so somebody's feelings don't get hurt, get the fuck out of here. Another fucking stupid thing. Soft. I'm being a Richard right now, but that's a bunch of pussies. Thank you.
You know who actually does the best? Dyer. And we can't credit them yet because they're not there yet, and we don't know if they ever will be there yet. But do you guys know how Major League Soccer does their All-Star game
I don't.
now?
No.
Okay. So they do skills competitions. They do all that too. Just because, why not? And for the longest time, they did. So 96, 90, like when they first started, it was MLS East versus MLS West. 98, they did MLS USA versus MLS World. Basically what you were just talking about, but just in Major League Soccer, which is kind of cool because there is a lot of pride there. They went back to the East versus West thing for a while. And in 2005, they came up with a genius idea. So
Just televise the Premier League?
they bring in teams. So, for example, I'll just read down the list of teams that they have played versus the MLS All-Stars up until 2019. Fulham, Chelsea, Celtic, West Ham, Everton, Manchester United, Chelsea, Roma, Bayern Munich, the Hotspurs, Arsenal, Real Madrid, Juventus, Atletico Madrid. So they're bringing in, you're going to get a crowd because it's fucking Real Madrid. It's Juventus. It's huge names.
So what would you do in baseball then? Are we gonna?
No,
would we
I'm saying
take
you
on-
can't. You can't do that. But I just think it's really cool that this is how MLS does it because there is the one that you can do that in. And MLS has won quite a few times, and they've also been blown out a few times because on one hand, they are trying but not trying. So like the Premier League teams and all those guys are using it as like a warm-up game. so they're not at full strength yet. The MLS All-Stars are mid-season, and of course the All-Stars, a lot of these guys are either working their way up to play at the Premier League level or at Serie A or at La Liga, or feel like they've been shunted or looked over by those organizations. And so you're going to use it as like I'm going to fucking beat you to show you what you missed out on. And then the last 2 years, what they've done, which is really cool, is they did MLS All-Stars versus the Liga Mexico All-Stars. So we got Mexico versus USA Canada. And that one was heated. That was a heated game. You can't do that with any other league, but the fact that like this is what they do, I think is really cool and really, really unique. Because you do get excitement, you get actual games out of it, and it's not just like half-ass passing the ball around kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do that with the other leagues, because most of the other leagues, we are the number one league in the world for baseball.
Mm-hmm.
We're the number one league in the world for hockey.
Mm-hmm.
We're the number one league in the world for American football, obviously. We're the number one league in the world for basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of hard to do that. Although you could do in baseball USA versus World. Like they do for the
Futures game?
Futures game.
Yeah, but that's gonna be an interesting one there.
Agreed.
I think what would be cool to see is your World Series winner. If we did end up shortening the season, get your World Series winner and you take on the Japanese World Series series. You know what I mean? Like have a World Series series,
like a championship, like a championship circuit, like
and
what they do in South America. Like how South America has the but it just ended the what's it called?
The Winter
all
League?
their club teams. Yeah, the Winter League.
Yeah.
Where all the winners for each club team from each country all play each other. Those games get heated too.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of pride there.
Now, granted, we do the World Baseball Classic, so that's definitely good because that gives everybody their chance to represent their country. So I do like that. I kind of wish it was like later in the season where guys are actually fresh, because now guys had to start up sooner and get built up quicker, and you're not letting guys go the true distance. Like, Darvish, for instance, playing with Japan, he's not going to be able to go 7 or 9 innings. Like, he's going to be 5 innings pitch count probably his first time out. And then granted, he'll probably get to build up each time out. He'll be able to go 5 to 6 to 7, but you're not going to see, right out the gate, where I would rather see that.
Dyer, what do you think about how the MLS All-Stars and kind of like what Derek's talking about with baseball and that kind of thing?
I think it sounds cool. It's a cool little wrinkle. I don't think MLB needs to do anything like that.
No,
I think
I agree.
It makes sense the way Major League Baseball does it, with it being the best out there. But everybody knows that the MLS is not the best league out there, and that's for obvious reasons too. Soccer is not a major sport here in the United States, although it is growing. I give credit where credit's due. So it's kind of cool to see how the best MLS players stack up against a quality international team. I like it. I don't think it's bad.
Brings fans in too.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because you're gonna get fans who just want to go see Real Madrid. Because out at the time, like when Real Madrid was there, the stars were still there on that team, the big names. Like you're gonna want to go to that game, not just for the MLS All-Star game, but you want to go see your soccer heroes that you don't get to see otherwise. You don't get the chance to see play otherwise. And I think that's a cool thing.
Well, like even as a casual fan, or not even a casual fan, just a kind of a conscientious observer like myself, I don't really pay much attention to the MLS. I really don't pay attention to soccer in general until the World Cup rolls around. But if somebody was like, "Hey, you got, I've got an extra ticket for this MLS All-Star game," and if it was just, the normal setup for an All-Star game, East versus West, whatever it is, I wouldn't really bend over backwards and try and take off of work or something to go to this game. But the setup that it has now, I might do that. I might be like, hey, this is kind of cool. Let's check it out. I'll give it a shot. And that's how you create fans. You get people through the door, and you consume the product one time and enjoy it, and now you've got a fan for life. So it makes sense to me. I think it's a good thing for the sport as a whole.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I will be going to the first week of the World Baseball Classic down in Miami. So that'll be really cool.
wild. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I'll be down there seeing the Group of Death. So we already have tickets secured for all the Venezuela games, obviously, because we're going. My friend's up to Ernie, and then also Dominican versus Puerto Rico. So we got the Group of Death games down there, but I'll be. It's in Miami, so that crowd's going to be insane. There, it'll be the only time that stadium's ever full. But
tickets are through the roof.
We got them early too.
I know, and they're going.
We snagged them.
You did good.
Yeah. What we paid for them? Yeah. What we paid for them? Because let me tell you about snagging tickets for under $200 for the World Baseball Classic for Venezuela versus the Dominican Republic. Like,
I can't dispute your woo.
No.
Dyer, do you want to dispute it?
No, I give it to you. I'm sitting over here like angry Ms. girl, but I'll give it to you.
It's good. No, I just wanted to make sure. I want to give you that chance.
Yeah. I wasn't trying to set up for that, by the way. It's just a natural occurrence.
No, that's 100% a good.
Yeah. But
good
yeah,
move.
it'll be a lot of fun. I'm super excited. We'll get some content while I'm down there. Obviously, going with another buddy who does a lot of content for Major League Baseball and for the Mets, so that'll be really cool as well. And also you get to see the stars. There'll be a bunch of guys are playing this year for all the teams. It's always a try-hard event. No one wants to lose. It's a big thing. So, but I'll also be curious to see, Derek, you're right, because how are these guys going to be week one? Like the first round of it. How their ramp-up starting, everything like that. How are the pitchers going to be? Are you still going to get the pitcher advantage, or are these hitters going to be a little more warmed up because they know they're in the World Baseball Classic? So it's you played in the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, it was intense, but when you played against Dominican, Puerto Rico, or Venezuela, it was loud. It was good. It was playoff atmosphere.
So
it's good. That's why you're gonna have a blast. You're gonna enjoy this.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. And Miami in March. Not too shabby either. Also the same week as spring break.
Mm. Good for you. There should be a lot of woos going on.
Yeah, just
Three wise men all around.
oh God.
I'm not doing that.
Oh no. Oh no. You know how expensive a three wise men would be at a stadium? Can we talk about that?
Oh God.
Mm.
You know how expensive a three wise men would be at a stadium? You go to one of them stadium bars, you're paying like $40, you're paying like $60 for that shot.
Fuck that.
Like,
And all it's gonna do is make you throw up.
I don't mind three wise men. You know, Gnome right now is like, no, that's you.
Yeah, that's.
But
He was not about that.
he was not happy. He was not happy. I'm convinced he got a bad one, but
I think so too.
he's not a happy camper.
You got somebody that didn't know how to make it.
Yeah, 100%. That's what happened, and he's just not happy about it. Let's transition back to basketball. We should talk about this then. Have you seen the resurfacing comments about staying on the court?
What do you mean?
Let me pull up the exact quote.
Staying on the court
Mm-hmm.
in basketball?
Yep. Not sitting out.
Oh, Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, I love that. I love that on him. I want to go buy his jersey because of that. Because it's true. He says that there's people that are probably at this game. This might be the only game they can go to because it's the only game they can afford. You should be out there, which is a fact. I mean, not everybody can go and buy NBA tickets and go to a game, especially if they want to see their favorite player. Which I see this in baseball too. Which I get it, but the baseball players, every team or every group of guys that have been around, they're out there as much as they possibly can. They are only taken out if they really can't play. And yeah, it does. It sucks. You go to You know, there's a lot of people that want to go see LeBron James play, and they'll go, you know, to Dallas. Tickets aren't going to be cheap, but it's their favorite player, so they're going to try to get a good seat, which is going to cost a good amount of money. Then you spend that money, and then all of a sudden you get to the game and he's not playing. Healthy scratch. That does suck. And it's crazy as I'm trying, and I would love to look at the stats on this. And if I had thought about this, I probably would have done it before the show. See a guy like Michael Jordan, for instance. How many games did he miss in his career? That would be a big one to know. And then it's like, how many games has LeBron missed? And they talk about durability and all that stuff with him. I know that people try to say he's the greatest. He's definitely not the greatest. He achieved you could say this about Brady too. He achieved everything in double the time that it took for Jordan, for instance, or Hakeem Olajuwon, or not Hakeem Olajuwon, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Like, you know, all these records and stuff, you're not breaking them by playing longer. I feel like if you're going to break these records, you got to try to do it as quick as he did. Like Nolan Ryan's strikeouts is never going to get broken unless if somebody plays for 50 years. Like sarcastically, right. But you know what I mean? Like maybe it's just because I'm also against LeBron. He's a great player. I'm definitely not saying he's not, but I don't think he's the greatest of all time.
He's a ridiculous player.
100%.
He is
totally different eras though. That's the thing. That's the key. No matter what.
It's also really hard to you know, judge in terms of eras, but I agree. It's a completely different era. And it's the same way of saying, like, you know, Babe Ruth's not one of the greatest hitters of all time because he played back then. Well, no,
correct.
He is.
He is.
He is because he did what he did at a time when he could do it.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. LeBron is the greatest of all time in this era.
Correct.
And
there's nothing wrong with saying that.
Yeah, I don't think he's the greatest of all time.
I don't even know if you can name a greatest of all time.
I would still probably say it's probably Kareem.
But even that's hard to say because would he have
he played when there wasn't even a 3-point line.
Right, but I'm saying, like, but what if there was now? Like, how
he might have got more points. He might have
gotten less. Just based off how the game's, you know,
you can't say he would get. You can't say he would get less because
not if you're scheming on a 3-point.
Yeah, but most teams don't use a big man like they did back then, though.
And that's why I'm saying you got to think he did this with just 2 points. He didn't do 3-pointers.
Right, but what I'm saying is, would his scheme have?
It would have gone up.
Here,
right?
But would his scheme have changed playing now? If he was on the Mavs right now.
Oh, like his playing style.
Yeah, correct. Same body, same everything. Could he do the same thing if you just picked him up and said, "You're now on the Dallas Mavericks right now"?
I think so.
On the Lakers or on the whoever, Golden State, whoever, pick a team.
I definitely think so, just because now, granted, I don't know how rough it was back then, but, you know, watching Jordan's era, it was very rough. If you drove into the lane, you were jumping off of 2 feet. You very rarely did the 1 foot.
But then how fast would you be in foul trouble?
Well, that's the thing. Nothing was really a foul back then. They were beating the shit out of each other.
Agreed.
But that's to go with the Kareem thing. That's why I'm saying they're so soft now that, like, I think he would be just fine. Personally,
I'm not disagreeing. I think it would be a phenomenal player, but I'm just playing devil's advocate to the
right. And I think
of all time is how it's very hard to say, like, okay, I plucked you from your era here. You're now starting tonight for the Dallas Mavericks in modern rules with modern scheming, modern basketball, modern glass, modern hoop. He's
going to adjust. That's the thing. I'd also say, like, even I think LeBron would still be very good. I don't know how much it would change.
Huge. That's what would help him.
Yeah, that's the big advantage. Is that's a huge human being coming through.
Yeah. I don't know if he'd have played as long.
That's what I'm saying. His body would be more beat up. There would be a lot more traveling calls.
But again, would he be able to adjust though? Like, that's the question though.
Yes,
like his basketball IQ is so good that
yes, he would 100%. I think so.
So I think that's why for me it's hard to say who's the greatest of all time, because it's like
it's still an opinion question though.
Oh no, agreed. But that's why I think you said it best. LeBron is the best in the current era.
Yeah.
And he is on the Mount Rushmore of basketball. He is.
Yeah.
It's just fact of the matter.
I mean, if you're all-time points leader, you kind of deserve that.
Dyer, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
I think you can't really say. It's really hard to make that comparison between LeBron and Jordan. They're two very different players. Jordan was a pure scorer. LeBron is not necessarily that. He looks to pass a little bit more than Jordan did. So, there's that piece to consider. Whether or not, again, Kareem, teams, if Kareem played today, he wouldn't have scored as many points. He just wouldn't have because, like you said, with the 3-point line, people are taking more shots from the outside. People don't go inside with the ball on a post entry as much as they would have. Every team had a big guy back then that was, the offense kind of ran through. Most teams don't anymore. So it was a different time. But again, you can't say that he's not one of the greatest of all time because of that,
Correct.
because that's how the game was played when he played it. So, taking players from one era and putting him into another one, it's not that simple.
Yeah, no, it's just fun to have that conversation.
100%. I agree.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I feel like if we had like Mickey Mantle, that's one of my favorite players of all time. If he was playing, I think he would still be pretty good. I think he would do fairly well. But pitching is a little bit different than back then. We also have a lot more. We have guys throwing harder now than we did just 10 years ago or when my first year was up. So the game just constantly evolves in that aspect.
I think, okay, so to answer your other question about playing, and now granted, LeBron has had a little bit more of a severe injury bug than Jordan has. Jordan really only had 1 year with a broken ankle where he was out for an extended period of time. LeBron's had a few more issues now and then. So but the numbers are still the numbers. So I'll just read them. Obviously, LeBron has now played from 04 to now. So we're talking, how many seasons is that now? What, he's coming up on his 20th? Something like that? He's
Yes.
been in the league how long?
No, I think he came up a year or two before I did.
He was in Cleveland in 03.
He was?
Yeah.
Yeah. He got drafted out of high school.
Drafted
Oh,
out of
that's
high school.
right. That's
Yeah,
right.
because they could do that. They could do that then. What was his years of service? I don't know. I should know this off the top of my head. 19 years. So he's 19 years of service. And of course, Jordan had the
What, 13?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
15.
Years. So there's a little bit of a difference there. But let's start with Jordan, just to give you guys a baseline. Obviously, the 1 year we're going to exclude, the 2 years we're excluding are the 94-95 season. He only played 17 games, was hurt, and then of course all the other stuff. And then the 85-86 season, broke his ankle, only played 18 games. So that long-term injury happens. But I'll just read off his other games. The 84, 85, 82 games played. 86, 87, 82. 87, 88, 82. 88, 89, 81. 89, 90, 82. 90, 91, 82. 91, 92, 80. 92, 93, 78. 95, 96, 82. 96, 97, 82. 97, 98, 82. 01, 02, 60. 02, 03, 82. Those are his numbers right there. So obviously there were some years where he didn't play 82 or whatever. That expected. Expected.
Fuck, it
Yeah,
wasn't
but-
missing by much.
So there were a lot of years you did.
Yeah.
LeBron James. So I'll just go down the list. I'm not gonna say every year because he hasn't missed a 04 through, and of course we're gonna exclude. No, they weren't really shut down because of COVID, were they? No, they
Mm-mm.
were. They were
No,
for a little bit, weren't they?
they were for maybe a tiny bit. I don't think.
Yeah.
They didn't really
did
miss
the
too many
bubble thing.
games. Yeah, they had the bubble.
And the season was about over at that point too.
But either
Already
way,
shut down.
yeah. So I'll just go down the list. So 79, 80, 79, 78, 75, 81. So up until 09, he was playing as much as a professional athlete these days with modern medicine. He would be considered an Iron Man. You're playing it almost every game. You're
Yeah.
only sitting out, 3-4 games at that point? That's whatever. 76, 79. So even up to 2011. But then 2062, 76, 77, 69, 76, 74. He played all 82 in 2018. So good for him. 55 in 2019. 67 in 20, 45 in 21, 56 in 22, and 45 so far in 23.
It's a lot of games missed.
Now, granted, some of those were legit injuries, and this is not listed in here, and I don't know LeBron off the top of my head to be able to tell you what year
No,
he
no,
was
I know.
actually injured or not. But
But I
the
mean,
point,
do you see how many times you named 82 with Jordan, and how many
Yeah.
times you named 82 with LeBron?
I would say an acceptable number. What would you say would be an acceptable number modern day in basketball?
78.
For modern 78 games would be modern standard for an Ironman.
Yeah. I mean, for modern, like, I'm sorry, Iron Man is every game,
Well,
so
okay.
82.
But for a resilient player, someone who's going to play through,
A non-Iron Man?
but not
78.
like a 78 games. Dyer, what are you saying?
Yeah, it's 4 games.
Well, I would say this. I mean, not to get away from the Iron Man piece of it, but I mean, this kind of brings up a different topic. As you know, we said he gets the scoring title because he played more seasons, but he also played fewer games in those seasons. So how many games? Let's look at apples to apples. How many games total did he play against Georgia?
So, he played one. LeBron played 1,000. Currently 1,411 games. Is how many games he's played. He started in 1,410 of them. So that's we'll go with 1,411. Jordan has played 1,072 games.
What was
Okay,
LeBron's?
that's pretty significant.
1,411.
And what was Jordan's?
1,072.
What, approximately 350 more games?
Yeah, so you're talking
4 or 5 years?
4 seasons of
Yeah.
at Jordan's pace, 4 seasons. Less than 4 seasons for that. But it's also the other question you could ask yourself is, could Jordan have played longer if he didn't play all 82 games? Like Jordan's a weird case because he did other things, and there was the whole gambling issue. There's other things with him, but I think the point being made though is that there are a lot of times where off days are necessary. You need off days.
I get it.
That's 100% the fact.
But that's why you look at Cal Ripken's record. That is Iron Man.
That's never getting broken.
No, it will
Kessel.
not.
Phil Kessel.
Phil
in the NHL.
Kessel's another. Yes, that's a great one.
And that's a very hard league, Iron Man in, because those guys will play through literally anything.
Yeah, I mean, it is a very hard league, but you can't tell me baseball's not either. It's 162 games.
Oh no, I'm saying like in terms of like the injuries sustained in hockey. Like
Oh,
the
yeah.
actual-
No, I know that.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
100%.
Not-
It's definitely
Yeah,
more high
yeah.
impact. You're right. I'm just saying you
that's what I'm
can't.
getting at. Yeah. No, I'm not saying it's more difficult than baseball. I'm saying like the chance of chance of extreme injury in hockey is higher than that in baseball.
Mhm.
It's just fact. You're physically trying to kill each other. But that's why I think in both those situations, you're never going to see it from Ripkins ever again, just because of modern sports medicine. Not going to happen. Trainers aren't going to let that happen.
No.
It's just not. In hockey, same thing. Trainers aren't going to let people do it. Maybe a goalie, maybe. But even then, you're pushing it. Because goalies need off days too. Not a strain they put on there.
Yeah, no, I was just reading in here. This isn't it matches up with this very well. Talking about like records, I guess is what it would be meant to be. Is DiMaggio with the 56 consecutive hitting streak, or consecutive games of hits. That's going to be tough to break. But I will say, and I'm guilty of this, but I was not out for weeks. I just missed one start. If I got a blister, it is tough because you have to pop it. And if it's a blood blister, then it's even worse. That's the harder one. So for me, what I did, and I don't care if people knows this, but for me, I would pee on my finger. Now, clearly, I wash my hands and everything.
That's a common
too.
thing, though.
I know. And that
Yeah.
was to keep me, like, I've already started peeing on my middle finger. You can't really, you can't even tell, but it's a hard spot right in the middle of my finger because of how the seams tear up my fingers. So, I mean, it does suck. Pitchers can't be used anyway for streaks because the pitcher would never get a long enough streak. I mean, you you'd have to make every single start. That would be the only. I mean, and you're playing once every 5 days, so you can't compete with streaks.
And that's without weirdness happening. That's without rain delays, cancellations, postponements.
And for Big Dog Gaming, because he's asking, what does P do? Well, the P hardens it. It gives it a callus over your finger, so it's like just a hard piece of skin there, so it can't let it. I guess you can't blister over it. That's why a lot of guys that don't use batting gloves, they pee on their hands too. Gives them it makes them rough.
I think the tough part too is some people will say, and no one's saying in this chapter. I've seen the argument when people have made the
Hold on.
MLB. Go.
Can you give Dyer a thumbs down, because I heard him starting to make the oh yeah. He was trying to, and I cut it off, so he didn't get it. So yeah, he needs thumbs down.
I got it.
Thank you.
I've seen this argument, and not in this chat, but I've seen this argument made before about how people will point to MLB players, specifically pitchers, people paying money wired to pitchers on their supposed start days, not throwing or whatever, or not pitching. And I get that, like that is in some cases a valid argument, but I think one of the things with baseball that's so unique with specifically baseball is how fluid things can be, especially with modern scheduling and also matchups. Now it could be very, we've seen it happen. I'm going to use an example here, Derek, just making one up, but maybe you're more, if you're on a statistically advanced team and you're willing to pitch whenever or able to pitch whenever, you might be statistically better to start against a specific team, and it's within your window. And they might say, Derek, we're going to throw you Sunday against
that happened quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like they would do that. Like I know the Giants would do that with Bumgarner. It was like, all right, well, we could be facing New York, the Yankees, and we had literally the Diamondbacks coming after. So it's like they'd be like, no, we need you for the Diamondbacks game. This is in our division. I forgot to turn my alerts off.
The Yankees do this. The Yankees have meant to do the same thing with Subway Series.
Yeah, but
We've had multiple Subway Series where they haven't pitched Cole and at the time DeGrom or Harvey because the Mets were playing the Braves the next series after that,
right,
and the Yankees were playing the Red Sox the next series after that.
Yeah,
and
you
the
want to
crosstown
save
rivalry is important, but it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
in terms of standings.
Yeah, that's the big thing is they would do stuff like that because it's like we need these wins against the in league
your division
opponent.
wins. Yeah. How do you fix and I'll start with Dyer here first, because how do you fix the NBA scratch issue? Because there have been multiple times where teams have marketed, and Derek's talked about this with Dallas, teams have marketed LeBron coming to town or Steph Curry coming to town or come see, Kevin Durant play, blah, 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 blah. You market these big guys, and then those guys end up being a healthy scratch. We're ignoring an injury or whatever. Obviously, injury is an injury. Or family matters family. We're ignoring that. Like a healthy scratch, choosing not to play. Dyer, how do you fix that? How do you try to enforce that? Do you give anything back to the fans because of the promotion? Like what do you do in that situation? How do we fix that?
I mean, can you? I feel like that's kind of on the team that's trying to promote based on a different team. You're promoting
smart,
on the
though.
visiting team. It is until something like this happens, and then you sit there with your dick in your hand. I mean, you can't force people to play. If you say you need a break, you need a break. I don't know. I don't know. What do you do? It sounds like a union issue to me. Maybe the league can go to the union and try and figure out some way to stop that from happening, but the union's never going to go for that, right? So what? I don't think that
they're
there's
not
an
going
answer.
to care because they're going to be like, look, that's not our fault. That's on the player that maybe he needs that day, whatever. No, you're never going to win that case.
I agree. I don't think that there's not a way that this gets solved. I don't think it's kind of the culture right now. It's the way that the players are in the game, and until the culture shifts, it's just going to be the way it is.
How do you shift that culture, though, Derek, from an athlete perspective? How do you? Because obviously, once a culture is established in athletics, it's very difficult to it takes a long time to kind of shift the culture back. How do you establish that, especially with like modern sports medicine and how, not uptight, but how much more monitoring they have now and everything like that.
I mean, you got to be respectful of the athlete to begin with, whatever,
Correct.
where they're coming from and what they're used to. You try to get them acclimated to that and combine it with what we're doing. But it's not, I mean, at the end of the day, like, these are things you can't truly dictate. You can't force it on an athlete. Like, they sign the contract to play for you, whatever. But if they say they need a day or whatever the case may be, like, you have to give that to them. If that's the case, like, you have to acknowledge that and be like, okay, this is what he wants. We have to abide by that. But yeah, I don't know how you fix any of that stuff. You can't really change it. You can't force somebody to go play if they need a day. If they're begging for that day, it sucks as a potential possible coach here soon or whatever. Like, I have to respect what that player wants, because he knows his body better than I do. I can sit here and say, oh, you're perfectly fine, but he still feels something. I can't do anything about that. I can't force the hand on that. So in trying to adapt to how their culture is, I will say, when Japanese players come over here, pitcher wise, I'll use Darvish for example, over there, they're pitching once every 6 days. Here you're pitching once every 5, and you're throwing bullpens and all that stuff in between. They also didn't have to stay for games. I remember Darvish was like wanting to leave on, I forget what, after opening day. It was, whatever, the next day, the second game of the season, and he didn't think he had to stay for the game. He didn't understand. It's different. So there's a lot of things you got to try to do to help these athletes when they come from different countries, places, wherever, to make them feel at home. But they have to adjust to the way that the game of baseball is played here. So it's a tough thing to sit here and how can I make this right for him or them?
Yeah, and I think the big issue with this is with the healthy scratches is that it's most common among the big stars.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the issue that a lot of
what
fans
it
have with
is too that I could probably say with this is, all right, Terps, you just got up to the big leagues. Dyer's been up in the league for 12 years. But you're playing for something. Not saying he's not either, but it's like the way I would see it is like you're a little more hungry to be out there on that field. Like you want them to take the ball away from you to where you can't play. Whereas Dyer could be like, yeah, I've been playing forever. I just need a day.
My spot's safe.
Yeah. But I would say that's the big thing is you're hungry. Dyer, not so much.
Well, don't you think too? It's kind of a perk. It's like I've said this before, and it's not the same thing, but it's like other jobs. You get perks for your seniority or with a squad for a certain amount of time, or for being particularly good at your job, you get a little bit of a longer leash for certain things. So it's the same thing here. If of course the stars are going to get, call it what you will, preferential treatment. Because quite frankly, they mean more to the team than the sixth man.
Yeah, I want to put this out there too, because it was said in here, and this would never fly. It's not going to go anywhere. But what if you put in their contract, any game you miss X amount of money? Would that change anything? I don't know the answer. Just asking, like, after a certain amount of misses, it's almost like sick days for every job. No, this would never. No contract would ever get signed.
The problem with that is, how can you prove that Derek is just a healthy scratch? Derek's guys come out and say, no, he has a impingement on his right heel.
Yep.
And because of that, he can't play. Even though it's perfect, it might be that Derek just wants a day off. But his guys, his contract lawyers, his agent's going to say, no, he has our doctor warned about shin splints. Well, the team doctor didn't say that. That's great, but our doctor did.
Yeah.
And then it becomes this whole kind of back and forth between them.
Yep.
Of what is and what isn't. And then it becomes bad faith where the team's saying, well, Derek, you weren't really injured. And what if they got it wrong? What if Derek really was injured?
Mm-hmm.
Your hands start to crack because you peed on them too much.
Exactly.
Or you put that person at risk of actually getting hurt.
Yeah.
and making it even more serious. The other thing too that, this is one of the greatest things I ever got to hear from my dad, and it kind of goes with what Joey was saying in the chat. My dad always told me when I was growing up, when I first got into the big leagues, you got to treat it as if there's somebody in the stands that's never seen you play. Give them a reason to want to come back and watch you play again. And I always loved that because it was like, all right, I'm taking the mound. I'm giving everything I got, which I can literally say, if I retired today, I could tell you, yes, I gave everything I had every single time I stood on that mound. I know that for a fact I did. But I think that was one of the coolest things. My dad was telling me that and encouraging me to keep pushing and everything. I don't think I missed anything. I don't think I had gotten hurt yet, but it was just one of those things. It's like, you always got to go out there with the intentions of trying to give a fan a reason to love you and want to come back and see you again.
I think it's a tough line between doing it for the fans and doing it because it's your job sometimes for some people. Because some people, the people have been open about this, just don't like fans.
Yep. Zach Greinke is not socially awkward. He doesn't like the, God, what is it called?
Oh yeah, no, he has
like social anxiety, maybe
yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Like he can't be around a large
And he's been very open about that too.
And he spoke about it and everything.
Publicly.
So
and that's also a thing too. It's all about a paycheck to some people. That's always been a thing. And as much as people try to deny it, there are, in every sport, there are people who I secured the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm good.
I got to the big leagues. Shut it down. That's it.
I will do the bare minimum of what I need to do to maintain my bag. Or I got my guarantee contract. I'm good. I'm getting paid. I secured it. I don't gotta do anything else.
That is an absolute fact.
And there are a lot of people like that. And there are a lot of people not like that. And so and then there's the people, and this is true about any job too, as CP3 just put in there. There are the people who, Dyer might start his dream job. Loves his dream job. Paid a bunch of money for his dream job. Makes it even happier. Dyer, are you guaranteed to still be happy at your dream job 10 years later?
Nope.
Money's still good though.
Anything can become a grind.
Yeah. You might just get worn out. You're still good at it. Still get paid the money for it. You still get paid more than most people do for doing a job. But at the end of the day, it became less of fun and more of a job.
What they say about baseball is if you aren't having fun anymore and you're tired of it or you don't like it, it's time to retire. And I can honestly say, I don't feel that way about baseball. I really hope I don't have to retire, but it's not my choice. It is my choice, actually.
Well, it is your choice. But, I mean, how you feel about it's not your choice. That's what you feel about. Okay. So, one final thing I want to talk about on this podcast before we wrap it up is something a little bit different, something we haven't done in a little bit. We used to do this a lot. Not a lot, but a bunch of other podcasts. And I think I kind of want to start getting back into these types of topics a little bit more. It's more like the life stuff. And specifically what I kind of want to talk about today, and I didn't tell you guys we were doing this just because it makes it more interesting, makes it more raw, is what's going on, at least for me, in the real world right now. And I'm not going to talk about what's going on in the real world. We're not going to talk about the political side of shit or, what left or right or whatever. It has nothing to do with that. So make that clear right off the gate. But what's going on in the world right now has shown me that the world has forgotten how to be human. Especially in the past, really 4 years or so. Really little longer than that, but the world has kind of forgotten how to be a human. Derek Shirt is basically saying to the world, don't be a dick. And I think that that's something that we need to talk about a little bit is how do you be human in a world where no one wants to be a human? Everyone wants to be, I'm right, you're wrong. Or you're an idiot, or you have no right. Like it becomes this vitriol kind of effect, right? And I want to use one example, and I think the political side of it is important, but we're not going to talk about the political side of it. Is recently in our group chat we had a decently heated political debate, but the good part about our group chat is that Derek and I disagreed about something, and at the end of the day, I had no ill will towards Derek, and Derek had no ill will towards me. There was no venom in that debate. At the next day, there was nothing. There was no like, well, fuck you, dude, or whatever. And it just we moved. We had a discussion. That's it. But I've noticed that people have forgotten how to be human, how to remember that the person you're having the argument with has thoughts, feelings, loves, cares, regardless if you agree with them or don't agree with them. The person who you disagree with politically, religiously, whatever it is, has a family, people they like, people they love, friends, things they care about, hobbies, needs, wants, everything. And I think that that's something that we need to talk about. So I'm curious for you guys to get your guys' take on it. And of course I have a take on it too, but how do we remember to be human in a world where the foremost response is, okay, fuck you, dude, blocked? In your own personal opinions, and not.
Yeah. Well, here's how I would see this whole entire thing to begin with. You're not allowed to have an opinion anymore.
True.
And that's where it becomes the issue. You can't talk to somebody that doesn't like whatever it is that you like. For instance, everybody knows I like Trump. I support Trump. But people will use that against me as if I can't have my own choice of what I like. Or, I'll use you guys, for example. Terps likes the Mets. Dyer likes Dyer likes the Indians. Nah, I'm going to use it. So
I know.
I hate that. That's, yeah. But yeah, you guys like them, and it's like, I have to hate you guys because I'm a professional athlete and I play for a team and I can't be friends with you. Like, it's shit like that. Like, you're not allowed to voice your own opinions or your own thoughts without having some kind of repercussion for it. Like cancel culture because you believe in one thing. That's another thing that sucks. I'm trying to, there's just so many things like jokes. You can't even joke anymore because everything's offensive. Everything has become something that it's not. We don't live anymore. It's more about what can I be offended by? What can I be upset about? How can I just ruin somebody else's day because my day's not going good? How can I bring somebody else down? Rather than just having a simple conversation with somebody. Yeah, so what? Me and Terps didn't agree on a lot of stuff that we were talking about in our group text. I'm not going to walk away and go, I'm never talking to this guy again. I don't want to ever see him, any of that stuff. I don't give a shit because I know he has a choice. He has an opinion. He can do all that. And I'm going to respect it. Whether I don't like it or not, I'm still going to respect it because he's a friend. He's family. Like, I'm not going to just sit there and throw that out and like, oh, can't talk to him. People need to learn how to have the simple conversations. Yeah, you might not get a lot of things done with it. You might have a lot of disagreeing, but you're still having the conversation and you're hearing two sides of something. You're hearing somebody else's opinions, somebody else's thoughts, somebody else's information that's being provided. Whether you like it or not, you sit, you listen, just like they do for you. Then you get your chance, you talk, and then that's it. Then you go about your business. There should never be hate after that because of something that you don't agree with or don't want to be a part of. That's fine. Like, I'm going to stay out of that, but because I was really going to throw some stuff out there. Here's the one. This is one. I will say this, and I don't care. It may piss off some people. I don't give a fuck what your pronoun is. My opinion is you're male or you're female. I do not give a fuck what else. And I get it. It's going to ruffle some feathers and whatever else. I don't care because at the end of the day, you're forcing this on me. You're forcing me to call you something. That means if that's how that works, then you have to call me the most beautiful man in the world with the biggest fucking dick. And you have to like it. That's just
So
how
now
it
we're
is.
just, now we're just lying.
Yeah.
No,
If that's what I'm okay with it. Give me a woo
but
for
it-
that
but-
one.
Mm,
It's not. It's not woo. It wasn't
no,
woo
it's
worthy.
not.
It's not. I can
But-
argue that.
But at the same time, if you meet someone, Derek, and they, the way that you are as a human, you're also not the kind of person who's just going to throw them off a cliff because that's their belief system.
Yeah, I don't care.
It's all about how it's approached. And I think what people have to realize is there's a difference between I don't care and hate.
Yeah.
There's a very big difference between I don't care about the Texas Rangers and I hate the Texas Rangers. As a Mets fan, until I met friends on the team and became friends with Derek, I did not care about the Texas Rangers.
Yeah, and that's fine.
I did not care that Derek pitched in a World Series. I did not care that, Nelson Cruz, missed a ball that he was trying to get. I did not care. Now you could ask an Astros fan, and that might become a different story. And that's just how the world is.
Yeah, I care
like-
if they use the trash can,
Right. But
I'm not gonna hate anybody.
and I think that's where it comes in is when people interrupt him. When Derek says I don't care, he's not saying I hate you because you would want to identify as this. He's just saying I don't care.
Yeah,
It doesn't affect me.
The thing too that's bad is you can't force things on people. When you force it, that's where it becomes the issue. That's where people hate and get pissed and they don't want to talk to you or associate with you because you're forcing things on them. That's why, and I get it. I know probably got to stay clear of that, whatever, but the whole pronoun stuff, I'm sorry, you can't force that on people. That's one of the biggest ones for me. I get it. It's a very sensitive subject, whatever, but when you force stuff on people, you're not giving them a choice. You're not giving them an opinion. You're not letting them have their own thoughts or saying on it. We have to do it your way and need to be able to communicate with people and have a simple conversation. And hey, you never know. If you actually sat down with me and told me and talked to me about all this stuff, then okay, cool. Maybe I will call you a they, them, whatever you want bullshit. But if you're just forcing it on me, yeah, you can kiss my ass. It's not going to happen. I'm not doing it.
I think the world forgets to ask one simple question.
Forgiveness?
No. Well, yes, but no. I think
Why?
the world. Oh, exactly. Why?
Because we can't.
Well, no, we can, but I think there's a difference. A lot of people choose not to ask why because they don't want to know. A lot of people get comfortable not knowing.
Or is
Or
it that we
not
don't
caring.
like, or is it that we don't like hearing actual facts?
It's both. It's both. It's straight up
Because we
both.
have changed a lot of descriptions or however you want to, definitions of a lot of different things.
Correct. And I think that
For example, because I want to say this, men can get pregnant. No, we can't.
well, statistically,
You can't.
in very rare cases you can, but technically you're hermaphrodite then, and that's a different thing. That's like
A
one in
male
a million.
cannot get pregnant.
I'm just.
I
I'm
know.
just being a
I know.
dick.
You
I'm
are
being a
being a
Richard.
very big Richard right now.
No, but I think that the question that Dyer just said, the why, is what Derek just said, and a lot of people don't ask why do you feel like you should be called this, or why do you believe this, or why do you choose to do this? And the second step in asking why is listening to the response. Now, the flip side is if I ask Derek something and I say and Derek says something back and I say, why? The onus now is also on Derek to answer that why question
Give your explanation.
and give it in a way that's not just like putting somebody down. This is why I believe this. This is why I think this. Blah, 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 blah. Because this, my personal experience, blah, yada, 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 yada. Very few people do that now. Very few people will sit down and listen or ask why. I think, in our conversation that we had, there were why questions. There were questions asked. Why this? Why don't you think that? Instead of just saying, you're wrong, you're an idiot, you're stupid, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'll let Dyer expound a little bit too, because
Well, I want to add this real quick before Dyer jumps in, because this is, to me, this is very important anyway. Is the other thing is, a lot of people don't get that chance to say anything because of being afraid of hurting the other person or whatever, which I get. But at the end of the day, if you don't and you continue to bottle it up, we're going to create more of a mental issue, and that's when it becomes scary, and that's when we get to the points of things we've talked about in previous episodes with Stephen Johns and other people, you know, with my buddy, me and Dyer's buddy Corey. You get into that issue of now they don't have somebody they can go to talk to and comfort, and it becomes a very, very scary and very deadly thing. I mean, me and Dyer actually talked after the Corey episode together, and was like, obviously it was an emotional episode to begin with for us, but on top of it, there was a lot that we didn't actually even know until that episode. Like, there was stuff that was hidden from us, and it's like, well, the way we talk to each other, nothing gets by us. There's not anything is missing. Like, it's out in the open every single time. We're very open with each other. And this was one where, sorry, I should have added Jape too, our other buddy. All three of us were blindsided on it. Never saw any of this. So that's the scary part. I get what you're talking about with everything, Terps, but I want to add that in there is, if we don't even have the simple conversations with other people, our friends, family, whoever, whether it's an agreement or a disagreement, if you don't have it, then you have nowhere to go. And when you don't have anywhere to go, it becomes very scary and very lonely. And the last thing people need to be is alone.
Correct.
Now, Dyer, you may take the floor.
I think that as a society, we're in a very dangerous place because of a lot of the things that we've talked about, you know, in the last few minutes. And I'll take it a step further, because now we're at this point where it's becoming so tribal that you can't be around people that have different ideals or come from different backgrounds or whatever it may be. I think it's important to have people around you that have different views on things, because it makes it gives you that human aspect. It makes cognizant of the fact that you don't know everything. You're not right about everything. Your ideals aren't how everybody is. It becomes that echo chamber when you're only around like-minded people. It's good to be around like-minded people. It's natural to want to be around like-minded people. But also it's important from a social aspect to hear those opposing viewpoints, because you can't grow personally without that. Sometimes what you believe and what you feel needs to be challenged. That's a healthy thing. And even if you walk away from it unchanged, at least walk away from it with an understanding of where the other person's coming from, of why they feel the way they do, of why they are the way they are. Because we are products of our environment. I was brought up a certain way, in a certain place, in a certain community, and that's part of who I am. It partially molded some of the views that I have. But I'm not the same person I was 1 year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I grew personally because my views were challenged. And it gave me the ability to be introspective and think, I never thought of it that way. I never saw it from that perspective, and I never would have if I wouldn't have had a conversation with this person, if I wouldn't have been friends with that person. So that's why it's important as a society to be around, to ask that why question that Terps you talked about. Because if somebody walks up to me and says, I want to, you refer to me as they, them, to bring it full circle to what Derek was talking about. If I was just to say, that's weird, I don't agree with that, I'm not going to do it. That's closed-minded. If I say, "That's interesting. Why? Why do you feel like I should call you that?" And they give me their story. Well, maybe it makes more sense, you know? So, why is the best question you can ever ask. And a lot of times people get offended when you ask why. That's another
Mm-hmm. Well, say that.
that's a problem. That's the other side of the coin. That's a problem. You shouldn't, I can't say you can't. You shouldn't be offended when somebody asks why. They're giving you an opportunity to tell your story. That should be a good thing. Because if you feel like you're marginalized, you should,
or you were marginalized,
or you are marginalized, of course, then isn't it a good thing to explain to people how that happened and why that happened, and shed light on these things that some people never been exposed to before? Not personally, you see it in the news, but it's this foreign ideal for a lot of folks, because some people don't know somebody like, that's trans. Some people don't know somebody that whatever, from a different background. And so why is an important question, and the answer needs to be digested, listened to, and considered for not just the good of the two people involved, but for the whole of everyone.
And I think you touched on something really important there, is that my upbringing is not the same as yours, not the same as Derek's, not the same as real CP3s, not the same as death matches, Bunzilla, whoever, like everyone in the chat, like none of us were raised exactly the same. None of us were raised in the same household. None of us were raised in the same town. Even if we were raised in the same town, it still might have not been the same upbringing. So I have experiences that Derek has never had, and Derek has experience that I've never had, and Dyer has experience that Dyer has never had, that I've never had.
I was gonna say, how does Dyer experience things Dyer's never experienced?
Well, it depends on the state of mind Dyer was in at that point in time.
Right?
Yeah, does he remember it? But the point still stands, is Derek might feel a certain way about a certain thing because it affected him in a certain way that I just have literally never experienced. Dyer might feel the opposite way about the same thing that Derek felt, because something happened to Dyer in a similar situation and the outcome is very different. And that's why Dyer feels the opposite of what Derek's thinking. But they're never going to know that if they never ask each other why or explain. They just know that, well, wow, that Dyer dude, his mind has to be fucked up. There's no way any person in their right mind can think that. And Dyer's saying the same thing. Dude, that Derek dude, his mind's fucked up. No way he could possibly think that. Because, well, there was never any kind of, and you know what? Maybe they have the conversation and Dyer goes, man, Derek really is fucked up in the head. Or Derek goes, man, Dyer really is fucked up in the head. Or, wow, Terps is just really an idiot, is what the conclusion they both come to. But that's, for me, is really missing in this society with everything. Literally, not just politics, everything. There's no communication, there's no talking, and then people are so quick to snap on people about everything. And it comes back to, again, how do we remember that the person we're talking with is a human being and not just some dude or a random entity?
Well, that's the thing. That's a good point too, because another thing that people in a lot of cases, I think, don't get or understand, but people have an unrealistic expectation that everybody should like everyone. I'm not saying you should hate people, but you're not going to like everybody that you come across. That doesn't make them inhuman. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be civil and respectful. I know there are people that don't like me. I would hope that they can still show me respect and civility. and that's what we should do.
You don't have to
You're not
like
going to like
somebody.
everybody you meet.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say you're not gonna like everybody. You're allowed to hate people.
And it's not just about like
dislike.
social issues either. Like there are some people that I'm like, man, they're annoying. They're loud. I'm loud. They're too quiet. They don't say enough. They don't say what's on their mind. They expect me just to think, to know what they mean all the time without saying it. I don't want to be around people like that. It's okay. I don't hate that person. I don't want bad things to happen to them. I don't want to do bad things to them. I will respect them, say hello on the street, smile, whatever. I'm not going to go hang out with them, but that's okay. You shouldn't want to hang out with everybody you meet.
Mm-hmm.
But then
But be
again,
respectful.
also, you never know. You may hate somebody, and then the more you're around them, you're like, damn, they're actually a good dude or
I was wrong.
lady, whatever.
Right. Well,
I was
hey,
wrong about them.
you know
I was-
what?
I
Maybe
was
they
wrong.
don't say what they mean because, they were in a bad relationship and somebody belittled them every time that they did open their mouth. So now they're afraid to talk. Like when you talk to people and understand where they're coming from, why they're the way they are, it gives a little bit more. It makes sense. Like you don't just have that judgment based on your experience because you know now the background of why that is.
Yep.
I think the big thing a lot of people can start doing is just asking their friends more why questions. Because even we all have in our friend groups have disagreements or don't agree with something or think something our friend does is weird. We all have that. And it sounds really stupid and like we're not in fourth grade terp, but it's a human element. And the most successful people when it comes to human interactions are the listeners. It's the people who are able to listen and able to pick up and able to sit there and digest what's being told to them. And I think one of the biggest flaws that most people have now is they don't know how to listen. So they don't want to ask the why question. Because they don't want to sit there and have their time wasted listening to something they don't believe in. Well, that just tells me you don't know how to listen. Or you don't want to listen.
Huh?
Because you might still disagree with it at the end of the day, but now you're educated on literally everything. But it was just reminded me of that. Seeing things recently and just seeing, where the world's going to is just one thing we try to do in this podcast is give people ridiculous takes on stupid things and good takes on ridiculous things. And at the end of the day, we just want everyone here to start being a little more human. Remember that we are human and to not be a Richard. Unless your name's Richard. Then
Then don't be a dick.
don't be a dick. But if you go by a dick, then
Don't be a
sorry.
Richard.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
you could be
just a
worse.
simple-
You could be
It's just the simple things. All it takes is a simple conversation, just like checking in on people, making sure they're good. All you gotta do is
People don't
talk. That's a big one.
I have really we all have really close friends. We all have close friends who don't check in.
Mhm.
And some of that is their personality. Some people just don't, that's not who they are. Other people are too busy. Other people just forget. But it's really healthy for friendships to be able to say every once in a while, Dyer, haven't smoked to you in a minute. How you doing? Derek, how's the new dog? Haven't spoken to you in a minute.
Were you about to say the farm?
No, I wasn't actually.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say your glasses, but I figured that was stupid, so I went with the new puppy. Actually, because I've been staring at your gamer glasses for the last
They're good glasses.
they are. But yeah, Derek's right. Check in with your friends. It's okay to have a conversation with people.
Even the hard conversations.
Yeah, like don't be a Richard. Duh. Or the hard conversation Derek's gonna have with Dyer next time Michigan beats Ohio State, or vice versa. But yeah, I want to talk about that. I want to do more of this. I want to talk more about stuff like this. There was someone I want to bring on, a good buddy of mine who struggled for a very long time with positivity and staying positive, and how they became more positive and the steps that they took to become more positive, and the realization that there's a difference between positivity and being overly optimistic or being gullible. There's a difference between that a lot of people don't realize. And he'll be a really good person to talk to. And of course, we've had people. If you haven't listened to the Stephen Johns episode, go back listen to that. If you haven't listened to the episode about Corey and his path and his trials, go listen to that. And just shows you how much you miss when you don't ask why, you don't check in, you don't say hi. And it also shows you how much you miss when you do those things too sometimes. But that's all part of it. So before we close this, Derek, Dyer, any last closing words on this?
No, I think we covered quite a bit on that. I feel good about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's it. I think generally speaking, we're all different, but we're all people, man. So we're all in this shit together. Better
When the
figure
aliens
out
come,
how
we're
to.
all in it together.
That's right.
They're coming. We will be back next week, unless we all get sick again. Hope that doesn't happen. Again, pay attention. We'll put in our Discord if things happen. In terms of Derek being employed, and changes that might be coming, might not be coming. So keep an eye on the Discord. Of course, we'll be tweeting about it too. If things like that happen, we'll try to let you guys know what's going on with that in case shows change, things like that. Hopefully Derek is employed, so we have to make that announcement. That's the goal here. That's the hope. There will probably be a week off when I'm at the World Baseball Classic, although I might try to do one anyway. I'll have some gear with me, and I might be able to get someone on. Depends. But other than that, I think that's going to do it for us of this episode of Off the Fair Pole, Season 3, Episode 5. For all of us here, for myself, for Derek, for Dyer, for our good editor, Gnome, thank you for listening. Thanks for hanging out with us. And we hope to see y'all next time. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, or Stitcher, be sure to give us a like, a comment, or a rating. It helps us out a bunch. Derek, are you getting off? Are you gaming? Or are you...
I am out. I'm on the radio tomorrow, so I am out.
Perfect. So, we'll be back. We'll talk some more baseball in the next few weeks. And do a cool little draft idea Derek had. We'll get that going as well. So until next time, thanks for hanging. Thanks for chilling.
Bye.